What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kinda Funny's James Bond in Review. That's right. We are ranking and reviewing every James Bond movie that stars Daniel Craig. I'm Tim Gettys, joined by Andy Cortez.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Great morning.
Nick Scarpino.
A better morning, everyone. I'm having a better morning.
You had to one-up me, bitch.
always. And for the first time in quarantine, Kevin Coelho.
Yeah. Hi, Kev.
The movie bros himself.
The movie bros
He's
himself.
back.
You gotta love it. How are you doing, Kev? So we get graced with your presence. So something what?
What? Like what? Was she gonna say something like mildly racist?
Jesus Christ. Anyways, this is James Bond in Review. You can watch it live every week, twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, or you can watch it later on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com, or your favorite podcast service is where you can listen to it.
Turns out I was muted.
The whole time?
Well, for right now, yeah.
Wow, then my comment's gonna make absolutely no sense.
Thanks to for letting me know, and I just pulled up chat. Yeah.
That's
But like,
fun.
oh, that's weird. Okay, interesting.
It's
Cool.
because it comes in as a separate audio thing, and I've got it all preset. And
Bro, you don't gotta make excuses, bro. Like, I'm right there with you,
good,
Kevin.
man.
You to know, you
Kevin, I get it, bro.
Your first time back at bat, it's not gonna go the way that you
dude.
want it to.
We're all
Anyways,
figuring this back out. Andy just figured out how to use his camera. It's been 3 weeks.
Andy literally was like, "Oh, it's finally set to 1080." It's like, why wasn't it set to 1080 for weeks?
Look, man,
looks so much better
You
now.
go with the flow. You know, you live and you learn, bro.
You do.
I do
You do.
appreciate
Chill out.
that right before the show started, you switched shirts from a black shirt to white shirt, so at least we can see you and you're not just a little head.
So it's not the floating head.
I like that though. I did a
Thanks.
lot. Anyway,
Yes.
if you want to get the show ad free, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers did. Mohammed, Justin Toft, Das Bear Jew, Blackjack, and Downtown Jay Brown. Real quick, I just want to say, for the first time in 30 years, I tied my tie today without looking at a YouTube video. I just did it.
Next up, shoes.
I know. It's going to be fucking crazy, man.
I hate that you said that.
I'll tie those without the Velcro.
I hate that you said that, and I like for a second I was like, "Oh man, I felt bad I wasn't there to tie it for him."
There you go. There we go.
Usually what we do.
Today, we're talking about Skyfall, released on November 9th, 2012, directed by Sam Mendes. In film, he made his directorial debut with the drama American Beauty in 1999, which earned
Great
the
movie.
Academy Award.
They
And
still can't hear Kevin, apparently.
Huh? Yeah. It seems like I'm coming in really low. Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah.
I can hear you perfectly, Kev.
Let me see what happens if I turn the. No, that's not really doing anything for this. Jesus.
Sick.
Sick. He also got the Golden Globe for Best Director. He has since directed the crime film Road to Perdition in 2002, the drama Revolutionary Road in 2008, and the James Bond film Skyfall and Spectre. Then he did in 1917, last year, where he received the BAFTA Award for Best Direction and a second Golden Globe Award for Best Director, as well as this second Academy Award nomination for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay. He also brought on Roger Deakins as cinematographer for this one, having previously worked with him on Jarhead and Revolutionary Road.
Oh, that's cool.
Also 1917. So
Yeah.
they came back together for that as well, and it won Roger Deakins yet another Academy Award.
The Dream Team, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Maybe he was nominated first. Maybe this was his first. I can't remember.
The
But either way,
fucking
those
Dream
two
I think
work
I
very
think he
well
was
together.
nominated, and that was his first one. But I could be wrong.
Are people hearing you?
Yeah. Oh, now
Good.
I'm peeking out. God damn it.
What the hell was that?
There's
somebody
There's still
vacuuming.
some construction. Someone's drilling.
Kind of funny. You gotta love it. A budget of $200 million, a box office of a whopping $1.109 billion.
Holy
Yeah, this one was
shit.
big.
Yeah, this one was big, almost double the
Wow.
Quantum of Solace number, which is really fucking crazy. A runtime of 2 hours and 23 minutes.
I'm gonna be 100% honest when I say this. I honestly
I
feel
hope you
like
are.
a good 50% of this movie's success is due to Adele.
Hey, I'll give.
I'm
it
not
to
even
her,
kidding.
man.
I think that song was so good and so popular that it got everyone hyped for this movie.
The
going.
Skyfall. What a song, man.
The song was
It's so
nominated
good.
for and won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, and it was the first time a Bond song had won. The fourth time one had been nominated. That's crazy.
It also was like, I think I read another a fact that said it was one of the first Bond songs ever to hit like top 10 on the
Yeah.
Billboard charts.
It
It was
the
so popular.
It was the first song since "Lose Yourself" from 8 Mile that
Yeah.
in the top 10 Billboard was also the Oscar winner.
Now, granted, you know, the movie had great trailers as well, and it had Javier Bardem coming straight off his success. Like, this is when he was, I mean, he's still super popular, but he's coming off the success of like No Country for Old Men. And he's blowing up, and he's just this badass, like crazy looking villain. And it had a great cast as well. They brought in Ray Fiennes as well, which is cool. But I really think that Adele song was what put most of the general public from being lukewarm to just being fucking red hot on this movie.
Dude, this movie was the first one in its trailer to do that like edit to the gunshots thing.
Yeah.
Like, remember there's that shot of him walking towards the target. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it would just like cut. Oh my god, that was fucking cool.
Great.
I remember we did a reaction video at IGN to that, Nick. It's probably live.
Did we
somewhere.
really? Yeah, that's awesome.
That was a long ass time.
You
ago.
all showed me this song in a car ride back from lunch one day because we were talking about, oh, Andy, the Bond songs, and you all still hadn't showed me the White Stripes one or the
Jack
White with Alicia Keys, and then you all showed me this one in the car, and I was just in the back seat, and about a minute in, I'm just vibing, and I'm just sitting there, and I was like, this song fucking rules. Holy shit. Like, I just had no idea. My eyes have been opened.
If you remember correctly, we were listening to the Billie Eilish song, and then me and Tim looked at each other and like, every time I listen to the new Billie Eilish Bond theme, I want to be listening to Adele's Skyfall.
Yeah.
So we just stopped the song mid-track and went over to Adele's Skyfall and listened to the whole thing. And that thing moves like a fucking rushing river, man.
It
It
grows,
is so
man.
good.
I love it because it's like it keeps getting better and better. They start adding the chorus of like the background vocals and stuff, and I'm like, this is so hype. But then it gets to that break where it's just the where you go, I go.
Oh
My god,
so good.
Beautiful
So
chord
fucking
progression,
so
man.
good.
So are we ranking it? What the hell? I
Yeah,
mean,
let's talk about that right now, man.
all right.
You want to go into the intro?
The intro for
Oh no, you want to talk about the intro is what I meant.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, here's my thing. Like, I am such a fan of Another Way to Die, the song. I think it's so fucking cool. And I think that obviously Adele gets all the credit because Skyfall is Skyfall, right? But I can't fucking even deny Skyfall's number one, man.
So,
For
like,
as big of a fan as I am.
But let me pump the brakes on that right there, right? The song I think is number one, but we're not ranking the song. We're ranking the entire intro package together.
And
that's
I
why
think that Skyfall's motion graphics are fucking 10 out of 10, man. We're talking about movement in the song. That thing moves. The kaleidoscope, him shooting at the shadows, every single thing, him falling into the thing and the woman kind of like pulling him. It's so creative. There's so much color. And I fucking love it, man.
The guns and the knives falling in the cemetery. That shit looks so sick. I was like, God, this shit is getting me going right now.
my thing is, I love this intro, and I love what they did with Skyfall. But and this is going to play into some of my critiques of this movie, is that the whole thing just seems like a giant step backward for me. And that was one of the main reasons why, you know, coming out of Skyfall the first time I was a little disappointed, was because the intro song, even the way the beginning of this is shot with that Bond stinger, very much reminiscent of old Bond movies. And that's always been a little bit of a disappointment for me going into Skyfall, is because I felt like they were trying to do something new and cool and like contemporary with Quantum of Solace. And you can see that in the intro where it is more of a tradition, like a cool modern motion graphics package. This definitely reminds me of like old school Connery Bonds, old school Roger Moore Bonds. And I think they wanted that. And you see that theme, or at least that concept, play out throughout this entire movie, not the least of which is it kind of culminates when he gets the old school Aston Martin that has all the tech in it, which was a cool homage. Like, there's a lot of old nods to the old series in this, or new nods to the old series in this, but I didn't like that they did that because it felt regressive to me. Like, I love this title sequence, by the way. I'm not shitting on it at all. I just feel like it's a more traditional sequence that you would see in like GoldenEye, for instance.
So here's a really interesting thing that I saw. The movie is not a follow-up from the two previous movies. Producer Barbara Broccoli said that the franchise, quote, will go on to other different stories from now on. However, the reappearance of the Quantum organization in later movies is still a possibility. But we definitely went into Skyfall wanting it to kind of be a soft reboot of the soft reboot. So
Yeah, and that was a direct relation to Quantum of Solace that just everyone shit on. They just did not like that movie at all. And so and this is, I think this is a problem they face going into No Time to Die, because they need to find the identity of Bond. And I think they were on the track after Casino Royale, and they were going down a nice road, and then after Quantum, they decided to stop, back up, like backtrack a lot, and then try a new road with Skyfall. And unfortunately, I think it worked here, but wait till we get to Spectre. That's all I'll say.
Kev, you're gonna say?
Yeah, really quick. I want to just say that it's probably my favorite intro we've seen so far. Adele's amazing. The way they have him, like the way they cut to the intro, I thought was so cool, and the blood effect happening. Sorry, the blood effect happening in the water, and that branching off to become other things. Like, what a well done intro. Really enjoyed it.
Totally agreed.
I do love that as he's falling through the water, he goes over the waterfall, and as his body hits the water below, you hear that bang, that first note of the song.
God,
it's very well done.
I watched it again right before this, man, and
Holy
it's fucking perfect. She performed the song live at the Oscars that year.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
I remember that. And that's the thing. Like, this movie is, I came out of this movie in theaters not liking it as much as I did this last time I watched it. Last time I watched it, I really appreciate everything that went into this. This is a very polished, very well done Bond movie. I just do feel like there's moments where they play it very, very safe. And there's also some stuff they throw in there where you're like, well, this is the first time I've seen this in a Bond film. But I do wonder, like, I think this is a lot of the ways them taking a step back and trying to find their footing after Quantum of Solace. And I think the movie suffers for that.
Interesting.
I totally dug it. I really enjoyed the movie. Javier Bardem's just the best, dude. Like, he's so unsettling. He's exactly what I look for, and like, these are my, if you look at like the type of villain archetypes that I love, it's always like the unsettling sort of evil where sure, it's sort of menacing and stuff, but when it's calm and collected, and it's so fucked up. And then with the jaw face reveal, holy shit, I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, they have a lot of really great moments.
This is one of those movies to me where I'm like, this movie fucks.
Yeah, dude.
And I feel like it wasn't until the later Mission Impossibles that really kicked in. But Skyfall, it just works for me, especially after watching the last two. I think that the one thing I don't love about this is it feels inconsistent with the other two, with him getting the car and stuff. And like, that's not set up.
It doesn't feel like they belong in the same world, right?
Totally. And I mean, apparently to the producers, they don't. But it's like that is where this suffers for me, just because that moment felt cooler than it actually was. Like when he gets the car and the music hits, he's going, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. But then it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, but this doesn't work in this world. Like, why does that
was going to be my question for you, Tim, was like, as a person who has really not a lot of context for that car, when he pops up the knob on the stick shift and it has the ejector button, were you like, what the fuck is that?
Well,
Fast and Furious.
They reference it in the other movies, where they're saying like, "Oh, what? You're gonna have an ejector seat or whatever," and it's like they joked about that stuff as if that.
I think that was a reference in this movie.
No, that was. It was one of the last movies where they made that reference, and it is one of those. Yeah, no, I think it was it might have been Quantum.
It was when he got the defibrillator car.
Oh right.
That's right.
But yeah, I feel like it's weird how those two scenes contrast each other so much, and it's like, I feel like if you're not even using the ejector seat, why include it? Like, that car's not
set that up, right? Like, they set up they do a good job in a lot of these Bond movies where they give you the tech at the beginning, and then it's going to play some key role in either a middle action sequence or the end, right? In this one, Q gives him the gun that has the palm scanner, and you're like, cool, that's going to play into something. And sure shit, someone picks up the gun and tries to shoot him, and he goes, that's not going to go the way you want it to. And the guy's like, oh no, what happened? And then he gets eaten by a fucking
Komodo dragon.
CG Komodo dragon. But it was very interesting that they threw those in, because they threw that car in Casino Royale as a very subtle nod to the original,
which I think was really cool.
It was very, very cool, and everyone loved it. And it was like, oh, that's awesome. That's how he could have potentially, that's how he could have potentially gotten that Aston Martin. That's cool. But he's not going to drive that thing, right? He's got modern Aston Martins that we're going to give him, because those are way cooler. That's what Bond wouldn't drive a 1964 Aston Martin. The upkeep alone on that thing would break down on him constantly. But I mean, it would, like, you know, it's like, why would you drive that when you could drive a freaking amazing like a Vantage or one of the newer Aston Martins?
Nick thinking so logistically.
No, I mean, like, come on. It's
the thing is the air conditioners in those, they never function like they did.
Well, that's why you have air conditioning for sure. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's not exactly, it's a car that you would keep as a vintage amazing thing, but you wouldn't drive it on the daily. So when I saw this scene, I was like, oh wow, the producers really don't give a shit about any of the realistic or the really grounded world that they set up in Casino Royale or Quantum. They just want to throw in a lot of fun Easter eggs for the old school Bond fans, and that's totally fine. But I was a little disappointed with that.
See, I don't think it's so much that. I think that this really, it is just clashing with the previous movies. But as a standalone, I think that it's not just Easter eggs. Like, it backs up the themes of the movie of, you know, him being old and then him having to go back to older kind of, the older way of doing things to be able to solve the problems, and him not being against doing that.
Yeah, but it's just an element that is totally not set up. And so I felt like, honestly, I didn't think that they needed to have the tech in the car. In fact, if they hadn't had the tech in the car and he just rigged the car to, say, explode when Javier Bardem's team gets there, I think that would have been a lot deeper and it would have backed up the theme of that old versus new, of that like killing the past and moving forward a lot better. The fact that they had this tech in the car, it irks me because it stands out as like, you didn't need to do that, and it's going to be more confounding and confusing for the audience than it is pleasurable to watch. Like, for me, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, they've got the fucking original machine guns from Dr. No that he had in the headlights or whatever, whichever Connery movie had.
I feel like
but for most other people, it's like, why the fuck would that even be there?
Yeah, for most of the viewers, it's like, why would that even be there, and who even put that there? Because like, this is the first time we're meeting a Q in this, you know, world. And
well, there's also a viewer like me who has a loose tie to all the gadgetry in the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. So it wasn't weird to me at all. Like, it was just Bond to me. Like, I'm just sort of used to that weird shit.
Yeah, but there's like Bond Casino Royale, which is like, hey, we're trying to do something that's grounded and cool and new and modern. And then there's Roger Moore, we're in space with lasers. And this, unfortunately for me, and I'm not talking, no disrespect to Roger Moore, Roger, if you're watching. I think
Roger, we're sorry,
I think he may have passed away. But
Roger, do you have Amazon Prime?
Okay.
You have Twitch Prime.
There it is. One free Twitch Prime. But like, to me, this hit on more of a note of, hey, we're going to go to space and shoot lasers than it did on, I just lost the love of my life, and now I'm going to spend, a whole other movie getting revenge for that. And I was just a little disappointed.
I think that's you bringing a lot into this, though, because I mean, at the end of the day, it still was just machine guns in a car and an ejector seat that he doesn't use.
Right, but we didn't see that anywhere else. Like, the only other tech that that Q Branch gave him was like something that could actually be real and useful. Versus, it always bugs me. Like, to Kevin's point, who put that in there? At what point did that car get that tech? Was it just in there?
Yeah,
he won the car in Florida. Like, what did he do? Ship it over and like have all that shit installed? Why?
That's his personal car. You know what I mean? Like, they had it in the storage. Sorry, construction on my end. Roger Moore is in fact dead.
Oh, good. I mean, not good.
Andy, why? What did he do to you?
Thank God. No.
Yeah, I thought this movie, compared to the other ones, while not perfect, I think that it hit all the things I needed it to on a higher point consistently, where the story was good, the characters were good, the action scenes were great, and the dialogue was fantastic. And it's like, I feel like compared to Quantum and Casino, this movie didn't have any of the big lulls that we saw in the others, and it didn't have any debatable things like the poker scene.
And I will say that, yeah, to back that up, like, watching this again, at no point was I bored. Yeah. And I can't say the same thing for Quantum or a little bit for Casino, or like, if you watch the poker scene a couple times, you're like, I understand what's happening, and this is really fucking boring. Whereas I think the strength of Javier Bardem and his chemistry with Bond on screen is so good. His chemistry with Judi Dench is so good.
So good.
That that to me is where the strength of this movie really starts to put it ahead of the pack, which is just that, like, that last scene in the chapel where he's with her. or even the first time he sees her and he goes, "You're so much smaller than I remember you. Like you're so tiny."
Oh my god!
And it's so fucking good, and he's such a good, creepy bad guy.
He's the best, dude. I want him to be a villain in every movie, man.
But I also want him to be the
intro,
protagonist because he's awesome.
I love that he is not revealed. We know about him, we know kind of a little bit, but he's not revealed until like halfway through the movie, and that's perfect. Like it's well paced, and his reveal is so unsettling. That one shot where you're just like,
it's a long walk
on Bond, and he just walks and talks and gives the most unnerving story.
But it starts early in that because you have the elevator coming down. It's such a good job of just framing all your attention, and like it's one of those one perfect shots things where it's like that whole sequence is so good and strong.
I think that's where I think I had this movie or that scene actually spoiled for me on Twitter somehow. I mean, not that it was spoiled or whatever, but before we even planned on watching these, that this whole sequence was something that was like broken out on Twitter. That was like, yeah, but Javier Bardem in Skyfall, like what a fucking great job or whatever. And I remember watching that whole sequence, and it didn't occur to me until I saw the elevator lowering when I watched the movie yesterday. I was like, oh fuck, it's right here. It's so good, dude. This movie rules, man.
There's 3 shots in this. What's up?
I just want to say, like, I've talked a lot of shit about this movie over the years, and like I still have big problems with the very end of this movie. But like, man, I am so happy we're doing this review because I enjoyed the shit out of it. Something about the action scenes, they're just so well like choreographed and designed and well thought out, where it just really keeps you engaged the entire time.
The building scene with the silhouettes fighting, holy shit, that was awesome.
I was gonna point that out. There's like 3 shots in this where Deakins just goes, you know what? I'm just going to set the camera up and let the action play out. And you see the very, very first shot of this is that where you see Bond down the hallway and he's super out of focus and he walks right into focus. And as he does, he's
so
like,
sick.
you see
hear the music cue.
That noir.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say there's that shot. There's the shot with the elevator. And then there's also that amazing silhouette shot where the camera is just sort of dollying slowly and you're watching the choreography play out, and it ends with Bond flipping him over and then catching him as he's about to fall. It's just it's really cool that Deakins was like, listen, I'm not going to overshoot these action sequences or some of these dramatic beats. I'm just going to like trust that the lighting and the choreography and the acting will really play out, and I'm going to get out of their way. And that to me is just a sign of how much of a fucking master Roger Deakins is as a cinematographer. And I think like I don't remember seeing a lot of like really recognizing a lot of his work until I saw Skyfall, and I was like, who the fuck shot this movie? Because it's so cool.
Because I'm pissed off.
I'm angry.
I need to shoot everything to somebody.
Yeah.
A couple facts. In 50 years of James Bond movies, this is only the second time Bond has ever got shot. The other time being Thunderball. Wow. It's crazy. A lot of bullets around this man, but
he's bulletproof.
And then the other thing is
like Adam Sandler.
Dame Judi Dench, who was 77 when she made this movie. Jesus Christ, think about that. That is old as fuck.
She's still kicking, man.
She has more screen time in this movie alone than Desmond Llewellyn. Nick, Desmond Llewellyn?
The guy that played Q?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not Q.
The original
Q, not John Cleese.
Oh.
Yeah. Making her portrayal of M the most recurrent character in the franchise.
You're talking about the original M?
No, the original Q.
The original Q, yeah. That's the original Q. Yeah. Previously M was always just kind of a character that would give Bond the mission, and then maybe around the 2 hour mark scold him for going off of the beaten path, even though that's exactly what you want Bond to do. And it's really cool that out of all the things that they wanted to shed from the Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale, they kept that thread of her being sort of the mother figure to Bond. And I think they did a smart choice here with the writing, which was that the B story, really the love story in this, it's not so much a romantic love, it's more about the affection he has for this woman who has basically been his mentor and his mother like figure for most of his adult life. And I think that end shot where she looks at him and she's like, well, at least I got something right, is so fucking impactful by the end of it. And and shout out to Judi Dench, who, by the way, if you're not familiar with, she was M throughout all of Pierce Brosnan's time as well. So she was the one actor that they brought back and were like, you're just way too fucking badass to not recast as this character.
She's the J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, and then I think she just didn't want to do it anymore. I think they probably would have kept her, but I think this was her saying, "Hey, I want to leave this franchise. I'm ready to retire and not do this type of movie anymore." And they gave her an amazing farewell.
All right, time for the plot.
Rainy. So it starts with that amazing shot and that amazing.
What the fuck? Hold on.
Oh, I'm
Nick.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Jesus
I'm sorry.
Christ. What is wrong
Get
with
it.
you, dude?
Dude, you're so crisp right now. I just can't tell who you are.
Oh, it's really out of key. The name's Plot. James Plot.
I love how close to the guitar you
What accent was I doing there?
I don't know because I thought it was Snape at first, but it was not Snape.
I think you could be further away from the mic and it'll still.
I don't know if it picks up that well.
Because I feel like
Why
it was affecting.
Why was the
your
E
playing.
minor? The E minor wasn't picking up very. Oh, there we go.
We start
There we go.
with an amazing shot that when I first saw it, to be honest with you, I thought it was a little cheesy, but it got me this time with that Bond stinger. And again, going back to the traditional, you got the cool Bond stinger with the cool trumpet. Let's just use it.
Let's just fucking use it, guys.
Bond walks into the hallway and we get the stinger, and then he walks up and we see the cool noir style lighting where his eyes are just lit, similar to like Angelica Houston every time she comes on camera in any of the Addams Family movies. Very, very cool. If you ever watch those back now, you're not gonna be able to unsee that. Agents are down and the hard drive is gone. Bond walks in and he finds Ronson bleeding out, and he tells M, and M's like, "Hey, fucking Ronson had his time. He wasn't good enough. Fuck him. Leave him." And Bond's like, "Well, I got to stop the bleeding." And she's like, "Who the fuck are you? Didn't you just kill like 15 people in the last movie and not even care? You banged 3 of them and then let them die. Who cares?"
I thought it was cool that we did see some growth where he it was clear that he cared and wanted to help his guy, like one of his buddies out, right?
For sure.
And like getting orders and he has to follow, like he puts in a little something to help and he knows.
And he's like, dead. Ronson's dead, pretty much. Of course, when he goes outside, Moneypenny's there to pick him up. And I think this is the first time we've been introduced to Moneypenny, right?
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen her before. Of course, we don't know who she is yet, but in all the trailers and stuff, we knew she's Moneypenny. So she's Moneypenny. She picks up Bond, and she's a field agent. And we kind of get the feeling that she's not a very new, like old school, like she's new to being a field agent because she can't drive for shit. When they
can she not drive or can she drive? That was a weird thing for me where she's like, she knocks one of the mirrors off and then he like makes the snide about it. And then she like very like nicely knocks the other one off and like says something. And it's
didn't need that one either. Yeah.
Like, there's a moment. Yeah. She pulls up alongside the Audi and Bond's like, "So now would be the time where you just pull the car into the other car." And she's like, "Really?" And he goes, "God damn it. Do I have to do everything?" And he just yanks the wheel into the Audi and it flips over. And he's like, "That's how you do it. If you can't be a fucking field agent, stay back in the office." Okay. And she's like, "No, I can do it."
That real quick back and forth though, where what you were just mentioning, Tim, of the didn't need that anyway. Like, who cares when she knocks over the side mirror and she knocks over the other one? Didn't need that one either. That back and forth happened, and I was like, this movie's gonna suck, because it's just like it wasn't good enough, And then, but luckily, it ramps up and it gets better.
Yeah, the one thing I like about this is like, traditionally they've always had a flirtation back and forth between Bond and Moneypenny, but they never hook up. And so that's kind of why I like this, because there is that chemistry and that actual like sexual tension that they I think seed in this scene. And then when she comes back later to like shave him and stuff, you're like, oh, this is kind of a hot scene, but they never actually show them hooking up, and that's good.
The name's Balls, Blue Balls. What accent am I doing? I don't know what accent I'm doing.
I don't know anymore, man. What ride are we on? Anyway, cars flip over, and this dude gets out with a fucking mini chain gun attached. I don't know how the hell that.
It was a handgun that was fully automatic and
so
had
sick.
Two drums on the bottom of it.
That's so cool, Kev.
It was so fucking cool.
Kev, can you make one of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
We can buy one. That's super legal. We can go to Nevada and get one.
Oh,
well, not only that, but later, Kev, he has that full, like the extended clip, and he puts back in, and so he's still using the fully automatic handgun, which I think is cool. That's awesome that the character's name is Patrice. That we'll meet him later, but it's cool that they gave him that sort of character trait. Hey, it's French, man. Patrice. Anyway, let's see. They both hop on dual sport motorbikes and start chasing each other over the rooftops of Istanbul, and it makes me really want to go to Turkey.
Moneypenny gets to say everything slightly wrong.
Istanbul. I didn't know. How do you say it?
I thought you added an H. I thought you said Istanbul.
I may have. Moneypenny gets stuck in traffic, and then Tanner tells her where to go because apparently she can't figure out fucking directions either. She posts up on a bridge, and then when the bad guy comes, she pops a couple shots at him, but she can't fucking hit anything. And she's just, I don't know how they train these MI6 agents, but apparently they're not good at training them in shooting, driving, following people by foot or by car. None of these things are good skills that MI6 agents have.
I feel like she was following two people on motorcycles on the top of buildings while she's driving on the streets.
It's hard. It's a different plane of action.
On the streets where people aren't supposed to be driving, trying not to murder a bunch of people. And now she's trying to kill someone who is getting fought or is fighting with someone else that she doesn't want to kill on a moving train.
Crazy. It's a lot of stuff
there's
involved.
a lot of
Nick.
elements involved.
She's just doing nothing. She's just fucking chewing up scenery back there.
Not
doing
hard.
nothing. Anyway, the guy jumps onto a train, so Bond follows him, but instead of jumping, he just fucking rams his motorbike into the guardrail and sort of flops over onto the train.
So fucking cool.
In a very violent fashion. They started a train shootout like an old Western, which I thought was cool, and then Bond runs out of bullets. Meanwhile, the other dude has one of those extended clips and his gun fires it like real fast. To combat this, Bond attacks him with an evacuator, just a giant digging machine.
This is one of those moments for me where I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, this movie fucks. I see the thing and I'm like, no, he's not gonna. Oh my god, he's using it. Yeah, he's fucking using it. And the whole sequence there is so rad of him swinging the thing over, and when everything goes to hell and he jumps into the other train
and
and
he jumps in.
Sick.
He straightens his cuff link as he lands. Of course, he gets shot in this process. It's important to note that.
When he got in it, I was like, oh shit, like. There's no way that's bulletproof. Like, why would he be choosing that? Because he's gonna have to turn it around, right, to be oriented the right way. And he used the shovel part. Yeah. He put that in front of himself to protect. And it's just like, that's brilliant.
Now, you guys were thinking on a different level. While I was watching this, I was like, "What's your plan here?" You're moving really slow in this machine,
you think he's gonna pull off?
I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, "You're out, you're wide open." Now, luckily, unfortunately for him, he didn't have one of those construction machines from Casino Royale, the ones that had bulletproof glass. This one was very much you could shoot through it. Unfortunately for him, so he got kind of capped into wherever he got capped.
He took one in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Of course, then he heads back up to the top of the train, and they start fighting because they're out of bullets at this point. And Bond tries to pry the hard drive away from the guy, but for some reason he has the thing attached to a lanyard, like a lame ass junior college student. So Bond can't get it away from him. Like, when the fuck? At what point did you have enough time to attach this thing to a necklace? Anyway, when they come out of the tunnel, Moneypenny decides
he like murdered all those people in that one place, right?
But he had it literally like it's a hard drive, and it was like
I think
attached
it was some sort of like
to a case.
Yeah, in a case,
Very weird.
in a necklace that you probably couldn't get off either. Because like
But
eventually they kind of get it off, and they're fighting with it, and there's that cool.
Oh, it's like Doctor Strange. It's like the little Doctor Strange thing. You need a cool spell to take it off.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I remember. I thought you were saying Doctor Who, and I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Anyway, the train comes out of a tunnel, and Moneypenny decided to finally get off her ass and set up a rifle on a nearby ridge. But she doesn't have a clean shot, and M orders her to take the shot anyway before it's too late. She
so much shit talking, so much underlying shit talking.
I'm just saying. Maybe there's a reason why she fucking stayed in the office at the end. Maybe they were like, "You're not cut out for field work, Moneypenny."
It's funny because you're being a dick about it, but it is the reason why she's like, "Hey, I'm not cut out." She says it herself.
Yeah,
like, I can't
you
do
suck at this
because I thought I killed you for like 3 months.
Leave the fucking work to the adults is all I'll say. That's all I'll say. She can't take the shot without hitting Bond, and then M has to make the decision for her, and she tells her to do it anyway. And then Moneypenny is like, okay, and then just clearly could have been like, Bond, just drop down. You hear me, right? Just drop down right now, and I'll plug this motherfucker. But instead, she just shoots Bond, and he falls. And then Patrice looks at her, and he's like, thanks, and he goes into the tunnel. He's like, thanks, Moneypenny. She's like, I might be a double agent.
One complaint I do have about her is that she takes the shot, fucking Bond falls down, and then she just pauses. And then she's just like, oh.
Yeah, why didn't you just keep shooting?
No,
just
keep
if you
shooting.
got one
like, all right, you fucked it up. You still have a little bit of bridge. And then she looks over and he's going in the tunnel, just being like,
right.
Thank
You're
you.
so right. Wow, I'm on your guys' side now. Holy shit.
No, to be
put
clear,
her on desk
I'm not
duty.
on Nick's side. I have
Put
this
her
one
on
problem
desk
with her.
fucking duty. chain her to a desk. Don't let her leave. Don't give her a gun. Don't give her anything other than paperwork to do. She's a lousy fucking agent.
She could have kept shooting. You're so right.
Anyway, Bond falls into the raging river below. His lifeless body goes over the waterfall, and as he hits the water below, the first note of Adele's Skyfall rings out, and it's everything.
Fucking awesome.
There's
now
no
here's the
way
thing, though.
He could have lived.
No fucking way.
No
a
fucking
sniper.
way.
This motherfucker gets shot, falls hella far, and then gets the waterfall treatment.
And as he's going to that waterfall, it's a dead ass human being. Like
there was a fairy behind there.
Did you guys not see him fucking swimming later in Shanghai and how fit he was? Just because we as normal mortals couldn't fucking withstand the waterfall drop does not mean that Daniel Craig's amazing abs wouldn't keep him from being dot.
They're buoyant. Yeah,
they're
very buoyant.
so good.
Everyone
knows that. Everyone knows that muscles weigh less than fat, and so they make you float.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
That's why I float.
That is the exact opposite. Muscles are more dense than fat, and they.
Anyway, later in life, back at MI6 headquarters, M is writing Bond's obituary, and we see that cute little porcelain bulldog statuette that she has on her desk. The next day, M goes to put some FaceTime in with Ray Fiennes, the new chairman of intelligence. He plays a character named Mallory. It turns out the prime minister is concerned about the list of agents they lost. The drive contained the identity of every NATO agent embedded in a terrorist operation. You fucked
Classic
up.
Story.
You're being forced to retire.
Maybe
and
don't have that drive. You know what I mean? I think wasn't that the same thing that happened in
the knock list.
Yeah, the knock. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just don't have it.
I swear to God, as soon as they mentioned I just thought, I hope they call it a knock list because it's the coolest sounding thing in the world.
The knock list does sound way cooler. And then, so he's basically like, you got to retire. You've had a great run. You should leave with dignity. And she says, oh, to hell with dignity. I'll leave when the job's done.
Fuck yeah.
She does. Good foreshadowing. On the way back to MI6, Tanner gets a call that someone is trying to decrypt the drive. He triangulates the signal and spots it coming from the MI6 office, namely M's computer. And she's like, what the fuck? And then when they try to shut it down, a really creepy message comes on the screen, like it's a 1990s website that says, think on your sins. For some reason, I spelled sins with 3 N's. I don't know why. Just way cooler, I guess. When they get close to the MI6,
that's it. Way cooler. That's it.
Yeah. When they get close to the MI6 office, it explodes. We catch up with Bond, of course, after that, and he's super depressed. He spends most of his days in a beach hut, banging some of the local talent and drinking Heineken. So we're like, wow. I mean, on the one hand, life's great, but on the other hand, all you got is Heineken to drink.
Sponsorship.
I mean, do you think she's definitely like a yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
the scorpion shot thing.
Oh, scary.
That was really cool. That was really cool.
I liked it a lot.
I like that. He just doesn't give a fuck at all. And then, of course, the next day, I love this. I love how this scene plays out because it's super energetic. It's all this chaos and commotion. And then it cuts and he's still at the bar as the sun's kind of coming up. And he just hands the guy some money and takes another bottle. And he's the only person there. And I think that's really cool. And of course, he sees the newscast, Wolf Blitzer, talking about how MI6 was hit by a major terror attack. And he's all like, no, not in my house. Not in my house. But I was fine with everything else. But I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
How many other spy movies franchises do you think Wolf Blitzer is going to insert himself into?
Everyone. I mean, they're just.
I don't
he's in Fall. He's in Fallout. He's in Skyfall. What? Fast and Furious next?
Himself into things. I think they ask him because he's a legit.
I think he brute forces his way on
You
this.
think so? He's like,
Do you
hey,
think Sam Mendes
have
was
my
like
agent call Mission Impossible people, tell them I'm in the next movie, or they're not happy. It's not happening.
I think he just shows up to set, and Sam Mendes is like, God damn it, Wolf Blitzer's here again. What do we do? He just keeps coming back, and Deacon's
gotta
like,
let him
put him
on.
in the movie.
Yeah,
just put him in the fucking movie. Anyway, we get a really cool shot of M standing behind the coffins of her dead compatriots, and then she's like, "I'm gonna find whoever did this." But of course, when she goes home, who does she find? Tim, James Bond, waiting there for her, and she goes, "Where the hell have you been?"
Told him not to do that.
She told him to stop. I like to also, by the way, they've ditched her super highfalutin, modern ass flat. And they gave her just a traditional London house that she probably would live in. Like the other one, I was like, why the fuck does she live in this dope ass place?
She's in this like Playboy fucking.
Yeah, I was like, that's weird.
Apartment.
In her
I
younger
love
years,
this
she was
line.
getting her fuck on.
That's true.
I love the line she has here where she goes, "Where the hell have you been?" Like, You know what I mean? Like, you're back from the dead. No, where the fuck have you been? Like,
Yeah,
you've been alive this
disappointed
entire
mother.
time.
Yeah,
Why have you not come back? And he says, enjoying death. 007 reporting for duty. And he's like, what was that? You said take the shot. And she goes, I made a judgment call. What'd you expect? A fucking apology? Like, basically, I'm not going to apologize to you.
It's so ruthless.
It's so
man.
brutal.
Like,
you know the rules of the game. You've been playing it long enough, is what she says to him.
It's so funny where it's like, honestly, I think that I love where M ends up in this movie, but I feel like they went a little too far with her character, with how she is with Bond. And I get that that's the point of this movie. It just comes off as really like, no fucking way. Like, we can't have this like, oh, it's my mom, but your mom is not going to do that. Is not going to do 90% of the things that she does in this.
Yeah,
but
like,
she has it.
I think it reminds you a lot of like Walt and Jesse in Breaking Bad. Like they're always sort of at ends, but at the end of the day, it's like nothing but it's family, honestly, with them. But and they further try to sort of show that when in the interrogation scene, or not the interrogation scene, but the questioning, the psychiatric evaluation where he's like M and he's like bitch or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, guys, so you're kind of driving the point home that they've got friction. We get it. We've seen the movies.
But I think the importance of this though is that we needed to see how she treats her agents, because it needs to back up how she treated Silva. And the reason she does it is because you have to be tough. You have to make these tough judgment calls. And then when we see what she had to do with him, it kind of makes more sense. This is just a little bit of setup here, showing that she has compassion, but only to a certain point, and the job is always more important. And that's exactly what caused the rift with her and Silva to begin with, was that she was willing to sacrifice him for the greater good. Anyway, they have a great back and forth here where he's like, you know, I'm fine, I'm coming back to work. She's like, cool, you're gonna have to pass all the physical tests and shit. I'm not giving you a fucking pass. And then she does anyway. And then he goes, well, I got to go to my flat. She goes, no, we sold that shit because you were dead. And he's like, well, did you really think I was dead? Would you have to do that? She's like, I'm just being a dick to you right now. And then he goes, well, I guess I'll find a hotel. And she goes, well, you're bloody well not sleeping here. And it's like, I get it, Mom. You don't want me back.
You're mad. You're disappointed. We get it.
I get it. Anyway, Bond reports the next day to the new cool underground MI6, and Tanner tells him what's all going on. They hacked into M's computer so that she could see, but they didn't want to kill her. They just wanted her to see the carnage. And so we've gone to this cool underground bunker where the computer is super standalone and no one can hack into it. And it's important that I beat you over the head with this, because it's going to come back later in fucking spades. And then they show him just doing pull-ups, and I get a little bit hard, but I don't write that into the script, but I'll tell you guys this right now. And then because of the bullet in his shoulder, he can't do anymore. And Tanner's like, do you want to take a break? And he's like, yeah, I think I'll take a break. And then he crumbles down, of course, because he has in fact lost a step. Then he goes in for a psych evaluation. It's that cool scene we were talking about where there's like, we're going to start with some word association. And then he goes, gun, shot, heart, target, bird, sky, M, bitch. And you're like, damn,
whoa, we got a badass
and then
over
she
here.
goes, and then she goes S, and he goes, oh, it's a symbol for hope. It's like a river running through.
I knew it. I fucking knew
It's
it.
like a river running through. It's like a okay.
Was I imagining, or did they say Skyfall is the last one? And he
They did say Skyfall. So when they get to Skyfall, he loses his shit and leaves. And then you're like, whoa, what does Skyfall mean?
There, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a mission. That like one of the big missions that he had failed or something like that. So when I watched this originally, I was like, oh, this is cool.
I thought it was an organization.
Cool. Yeah. I didn't know. Later that night, he takes a long, hard look at himself in the mirror, and he goes, maybe I shouldn't have left that nice, cozy beach. I could always go back. That girl's probably still waiting for me. Nah, fuck it. Let me just take a knife and dig shards of a bullet out of my own shoulder.
Jesus.
Why not? Why not?
Why didn't he do that a long time ago?
Guys, we've all done it. You leave it in there for like a keepsake. You're going to need it later.
I had to cover up. I had to like. I just got my hand and just kind of like, I don't want to know what's going on. Luckily, they cut away pretty quickly.
They did. So the next day, of course, he takes that over to Tanner, and he says, have the boys in Q Branch analyze this, and it's for her eyes only, for M's eyes only. Moneypenny comes to bring him into M's office the next day, and but she's been reassigned to desk duty because she killed the last 007. Now she's assisting Gareth Mallory in the transition. Then she'll be back to the field, and Bond's like, yeah, fucking right. Not if I have anything to do about it.
Not on my watch.
Shoot like shit. You can't fucking. Could you?
It's a sad scene
right now. You fucking blind bastard.
I thought they did a really good job with like the semi montage of seeing him do the training things and just failing so bad. Like
we have that
all the shots and stuff. Like it's really cool, and I think that Daniel Craig did a really good job of acting that whole scene out.
Yeah, acting as somebody that has lost a step. They are the superstar past their prime, and I think he did a really good job showing that.
They have a great little back and forth here to back up their chemistry where he goes, in your defense, a moving target is harder to hit. And she goes, well, then you better keep moving. And it's like, damn, just get it on.
Just fuck.
Just go right now. Fuck, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Go to the ADA compliant bathroom and just wax each other. Anyway.
Things you say.
You're gross.
Bond walks in.
Like, it's just gross because it's like this old dude saying shit. Dude. You're like,
oh, get in there. Then Bond goes up to M's cool new office and of course has a little quip about her bulldog, and he's like, oh, that fucking thing's still here. And he meets Mallory, and it turns out Bond's passed all of his tests. Not really. M is just lying. But Mallory questions whether or not Bond has lost a step, and I love that. He's like, there's no shame in saying you've lost a step, old man. The only shame is that is saying it too late. It's a young man's game. But Bond's like, listen, fucking hire me or fire me. That's up to you. But I got a job to do right now. And I still look good in this fucking suit. And I'm going to get shirtless in 5 minutes. And
I look
Nick's
incredible.
Erect.
Great.
Anyway. They put him back on duty, and Tanner analyzes the shell fragments. And apparently these, I guess, if you're going to be a terrorist, you got to use the most hard to get uranium tipped bullet imaginable so people can immediately trace it back to you. That's what we've learned from these last 3 movies. Is if you're going to use any tool, make sure it's not just a tool you can get away with a job. Make sure people know it's you. Just like, any assassin from a comic book movie.
That was his calling card, right? Because they were like, oh, there's only a couple people who use these bullets, and any of them look for, oh, it's that guy? All right, cool. That must have been his choice to be like, I'm going to use you.
I have to assume so. To me, there's a lot of, listen, I'm gonna slowly get to some parallels between this movie and another classic movie, Home Alone. And this is the first parallel where this is just the wet bandits. Do you see what I'm saying?
There are a lot of parallels there. You're nailing it.
Super a lot of parallels. And by the way, when we get into the third act, don't think I don't have a lot of fucking Home Alone quotes ready for your ass, you assholes. Gotcha. Okay, I got a lot of them now.
Now I see where you're coming from.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You fucking, are you thirsty for more, Tim?
Wait, Tim, did you not make this connection earlier?
Just what the sky, once they get to the house, sure. Yeah. The rest of the movie, I don't see a parallel.
It's essentially a ripoff of Home Alone 1 and 2.
He's making some solid points. You know what I mean?
Anyway,
Kevin, look at your ally. Look at your ally.
Yeah, I hate this.
I hate all my allies. So much, we're all in it together, guys.
When the stars align and it goes pitch black, that's when the monsters come out, and that's when me and Kevin are on the same page. Anyway, they head up the CIA, and intel is that Patrice is going to be in Shanghai in 2 days. So Bond is to find out who he works for and who has the list, and then terminate his ass for Ronson. I fucking love that line. She goes, and then terminate him for Ronson. And Bond's like, oh yeah, I want to fucking ice this guy.
I also feel like, hey, with Ronson, I could have put pressure there, and then Moneypenny could have followed for a little while, and then I could have met him up afterwards.
Again, we've already established
Moneypenny didn't have to die.
Moneypenny is the equivalent to a brand new Uber driver who just doesn't know how any of this works. She's just like, I think, when you walk out for your Uber and it's 5 fucking blocks up there and you're like, come back here, and nothing happens. That's Moneypenny. Then you end up walking over there and it smells like smoke and some sort of fucking cheap car freshener.
Remember
smell the cigarette smoke.
Remember the Uber driver who told you and suggested to just advice on how to call an Uber? Remember that guy in LA? He's like, here's what you want to do next time you call an Uber. And it was like, all right, dude, fuck you.
You're like, I've used them before. Anyway, let's see. M tells Bond before he leaves to meet up with Q to get some gear. So Bond goes to the museum where he meets Q. And I got to be honest, I don't love the inclusion of Q in this. Again, I think this is another one of those instances where I'm like, we didn't really need this character to be in this.
I fucking give him tech, man. I thought it was great. I love this actor. I love his performance for this, and I love his place in this world. I feel like we need more of that type of character, because I feel like at some point it just becomes a lot of these old British people, and I like having some young British people to at least change the type of dialogue happening.
I totally agree, but again, while watching it, I just couldn't help but think, God, I wish this was Simon Pegg. I wish it was. There were some moments of that sort of young, naive nature, and some of it was comical, but for the most part, I just wanted it to be witty Simon Pegg, who's way in over his head and should not and doesn't belong here in this situation,
Does Kevin know we're still shooting a show? Or
He probably got up to get something. Like I got up to get a Zyrtec a little while ago.
oh, smart. Dude, I had to take like 3 of those yesterday. I was having a massive allergy attack.
I'm getting itchy right here. I don't know why.
And it's probably because you're indoors still. Maybe go out and shower.
I didn't go out yesterday. Yeah, I haven't
Go
showered
out
in
and
2 weeks.
shower.
Yeah. Have you thought about showering?
Uh,
Anyway, they start comparing dicks, and I do like this back and forth where he says, "I can do more damage on my laptop sitting in my pajamas before my morning cup of tea than you can in a whole year in the field." And he goes, "Then why do you need me?" He goes, "Because every now and then a trigger has to be pulled." And then Bond goes, "Or not pulled. It's hard to know which in your pajamas." And you're like,
That's
dude,
Fuck yeah.
fucking, your computer is cool, but I'll fuck you up right now.
I told
Nick
Nick that when Tim and Nick were trying to hire me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, guys, I can do more damage in my pajamas and shit. And
we're like,
and
Andy,
Nick was like,
it's-
send me a pic. And I was like, oh fuck.
Oh fuck, here we go.
And then Tim was like, "Andy, a job interview where you wear your pajamas to is not the right place for that." Anyway, he gives Bond a Walther PPK with a sensor in the grip that's encoded to his palm print, and he also gives him a cool little radio transmitter that looks like a mini radio that you would get. You know what it reminds me of is like when they make cereal and then they make the smaller version of it. It's like frosted, like wheats and then mini wheats. It looked like a little mini wheat. We're like, why does this have to be so small? Like, could it be? Does it have it has a little antenna? Why? Why does that have an
It
antenna?
looked like
Super cute.
just a novelty bullshit thing you buy at Radio Shack that
Right.
you buy for $4 and the batteries die within a day.
For sure. Anyway, so Bond heads over to Shanghai where he takes a moment to go for a quick swim and then lets all of us just stare at his
Watch.
triceps.
Let's just see
Oh,
it
wow.
happen, you know?
He just
But there's the shot of him from behind, and it's just like, what are those muscles? What is that?
They're called triceps, Tim. And none of us
my
have
God.
them.
That
We
was
don't have
beautiful.
them.
He is. Do we ab song? Should we-
I mean, do you want to do the
Were
podcast?
they born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rank Those Abs. And of course, we're just doing the Daniel Craig Bond movie. So it's pretty much going to be just ranking Daniel Craig over and over again. But I'll be honest, I think he looks better than he looked in Quantum in this, but not quite as good as he looked in Casino Royale.
I mean, hey,
Andy, what do you think?
You can never look as good as those Speedos.
Here's the thing,
Fuck.
like it was something about this shot, something about the lighting, the composition of where he was in frame, where it's the ideal torso. Like I that's how I want my torso to look. Like when I think back at we've done MCU in review, we've done all these movies in reviews where there's always these handsome, muscular men on camera, shirtless usually. And it's like, I don't want to be Thor jacked. I don't want to be Captain America jacked. I want to be Daniel Craig jacked, where it's a little bit slimmer. It's a smaller frame, but it's still huge and gorgeous. Loved it.
You know why? Because he looks good in a suit. And you're like, oh, that guy looks fit. And then when he takes his shirt off, you're like, what the fuck happened to you?
Yeah.
That's the kind of wow I want to have.
Yeah, like there's the scene later where Moneypenny, which we don't know it's Moneypenny yet, but she shows up at his little like hotel or whatever. Or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he answers the door shirtless. It's like, God, I would love to be able to answer the door shirtless. Like, can you imagine?
That sounds rad.
Can you
No,
imagine
I
answering
answer
the
the-
door shirtless?
I do it all the time, but it does not have the same effect.
Sure, yeah.
I'll be like, is that a package for me, Mr. FedEx employee? And they're like, please, sir.
The Uber Eats guy's like, I'm
Put
trying
your
to social
shirt
distance.
Get back on.
I don't
There's
want to
just
touch you.
So much of you. There's so much of you. Anyway, back into the plot. Bond gets a message that Patrice is going to be at the airport. So when he gets there, we have a cool shot of Bond like dressed as like just hiding in plain sight, dressed as a chauffeur. And he tails Patrice from the airport to an office building, and then does that cool thing that Tom Cruise did in Mission Impossible Fallout, where he jumps onto the bottom of the elevator and just rides it up. But unlike Tom Cruise, who apparently just is infallible, Daniel Craig, he has that moment where one of his hands slips for a second. He's like, shit,
Dude,
I don't know if I can do this or not. And it's kind of scary.
The tension in that scene, I feel like, was really well done. Where I was like, "Oh shit, this guy's gonna fucking fall."
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
scary. Yeah.
And then he goes up into the most confusing office layout I've ever seen in my entire life. And Tim, follow me on this one.
Let's
Stick
go.
with me on this
Everybody
one.
close
It
your eyes.
reminds-
Everybody close your
Everyone
eyes.
close your eyes. Tim, do you remember Internet Explorers a long time ago when we watched a clip where a woman kept walking into glass of a racquetball court? She just
Yeah.
kept thinking it was
Yeah.
the door and
Mhm.
kept walking into glass. I imagine that's how every single employee of this office does, like it operates every day, where they just
Here's
can't
the thing.
stop walking into glass.
I feel like in the daytime it wouldn't be as confusing. It's just that when it's all dark and there's just crazy like LED lights everywhere.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a little bit confusing. And
this reminds me of
what you're talking about.
It all reminds me of John Wick 3.
It does,
or maybe 2.
It does.
One of them. I forgot which ones. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you, Tim. I think during the daytime, this would be a little bit easier to notice the door handles and what are doors. But of course, Roger Deakins is like, nah, bro, we need gorgeous light and beautiful reflections. This is going to be the coolest looking shot ever. And it was better for it.
Oh, man. And this whole fight scene, too. Like, it reminds me a lot of the physicality that we see in like Winter Soldier type hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, it's very well done. Of course, the guy kills a dude in the hotel room across the way who was looking at a painting
with a cool gun.
Why did he with a really cool gun? Why did he kill him though? Yeah. Like, why did
that was his job?
But I know, but why did Bond? Sorry, why did Bond like? I feel like Bond should have stopped him a little bit, right?
Bond doesn't give a fuck about that guy. Who's that guy? Another bad guy buying a fucking millionaire bad guy.
You're right. You're right. He was looking at art.
Weird to me.
Well, his job looking at art because his job isn't to stop the guy from killing the other guy. It's to interrogate him. So he was waiting for the right moment.
But I also feel like the right moment is before he shoots and gets the attention of everyone in that building. You know,
specifically the attention of Severine, I think is the name of the character, who just kind of looks back and is like, "Cool."
Just gives a little wave, like, "Hey."
No, but I thought they were. I thought that was the point. I thought they were.
It was the point. It was the point.
Yeah.
She knew that he was going to. It's like she had hired him basically to kill the guy, and I think she lured him into the room so that he could be in place for the guy to be killed. But when I first watched it, I was like, "Wow, she is not bothered by this at all." Because apparently in Shanghai, people are just getting killed left and right. Nobody cares.
That gun was so modular looking though. It looked cool.
Really cool. Very bossy too.
Yeah, like it was just straight out of a suitcase, and all the pieces were kind of put together. It looked awesome.
Yeah,
the sound design in this movie, I think, is really rad. And this scene specifically, when he like cuts the hole in the glass, and you immediately hear the difference in the wind.
Yeah,
so cool.
That's very well done.
And also with the score in this one, they went back to what they did in Casino Royale, where throughout the movie they actually have hints of the Skyfall in the score.
So cool.
It's great.
I do love, of course, we talked about that shot where they're fighting and it's all silhouetted with the LED behind them. So cool. And you know, for a shot that clearly was green screened, it gives me the butthole pucker moment where he flips him over and then has to stop him from falling. And he's just, who do you work for? My butthole just goes, no, he's going to fall. And then the guy slips and he just goes, oh.
I feel like
they show him fall a lot longer than I expected them to.
Yeah,
it's the super violent him hitting a thing in the middle, bouncing a little bit, and it's like, oh man, that guy is
a lot of Titanic / Darth Maul person falling from a thing, and you see the kind of body.
Andy, do you think in No Time to Die we'll see Patrice come back with mechanical legs?
Oh, I hope so. And then he sits there, and then he pops up only at the end of the movie, though.
He pulls the gun out again and just kind of waves it in front of the camera.
Remember this modular gun?
I got this cool gun. We're such fucking assholes.
No, it's just assholes. It's you.
No, Andy was where the stars aligned on that one. Pitch black.
One thing that like I don't know, we haven't really talked that much about, but I really feel like the visuals were subpar in a lot of this movie, where there's like several shots. The visuals. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The visuals, like when
we just think you're fucking crazy.
Well, when the what is it? The explosion happens at the like MI6 office.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the visual effect?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the visual effects. Yes. Sorry. The visual effects.
So,
My bad.
So I'll back that up because I have a couple moments. Like I didn't think the Scorpion looked good. I think the Komodo dragons.
Wait a minute. This
Scorpion wasn't real.
Definitely not.
So
the Komodo dragons look like a goddamn joke.
The Komodo dragon looked pretty bad, but I'll tell you what also looked really, really bad. Was especially like when you're watching
Moneypenny's driving
on a big TV. Damn, bro. Whoa.
That was good. Okay, Nick. Okay.
I was gonna say
I don't understand.
When they finally get to Javier Bardem's sort of island or whatever, and like all the buildings there are just totally all CG, and it's like, this doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Either way, though, back to it though. So Bond, of course, picks through the guy's briefcase and finds a cool like token or a chip from a Macau casino, and he's like, "This must be how this guy's getting paid. I'll figure this out." Then he goes back to his shanty and gets a knock on the door, and when he answers, who is it? Moneypenny, and he's like, "I don't trust you to fucking deliver my food at this point." but I'll trust you to shave me with something called a cutthroat razor,
So
which I
hot.
think
Just
in
a straight
America
razor.
we just call a straight razor,
Yeah.
but they call it a cutthroat razor, and that's cool. And then I saw another piece of trivia when I was watching this that said that the sales of cutthroat razors in the UK went up like 400%
Oh,
after
I'm
the
sure.
scene.
Remember
I was
when
like-
Kevin had one and then cut himself?
First of all, I still have it. Second of all, I can't get someone to sharpen it correctly because they just don't have good sharpening places for straight razors in the Bay
Gotcha.
Area.
Kev. Yeah, not super available. It's hard for those businesses to thrive here.
Right?
Yeah.
Third,
Yeah, my local
thirdly-
straight razor shop just went out of business, sadly.
I mean,
So-
you're joking about it, but Art of Shaving went out of business. You know, like they closed their downtown location.
You need the
Dollar Shave
afilador,
Club
Kevin?
put a fucking bullet in their head.
And then the third thing is, yeah, I mean, when I first got it, I went and I was cleaning it, and I was a little distracted, looked away, I cut my pinky in half. It's fine, though. I fixed it myself. You can't even
fine.
see. Look
Proud
at
of
it.
you, Kev.
You see a scar there? It's
Proud of you.
tiny. It's not even that bad.
I'll tell you what, man. I like before I die, and it might be due to this. I just want a hot woman holding a blade up to my face. Like
I'll do it for you.
it just seems great.
I mean, Andy, you're flexible in the hot woman part. I could do it, no problem.
Touche, Kev.
You walked right
Well
into
played.
that one, Andy. You
Well
walked
played.
right into that one. Moneypenny, of course, is there not just to shave him, but she's also kind of spying on him because now she works for Mallory. And Bond kind of is like, I know what you're doing here, but you know what? I'm having a good time, so go keep shaving. And then it turns out she's like, you've misjudged Mallory. He goes, I know. He was a soldier. I was just giving him shit because I don't like authority. She shaves him, and then she goes, fine, now you're better. Now you're back. And then we see a shot of Bond finally back to real Bond status, wearing a dope ass tuxedo, and he's just on a boat to the world's coolest casino in the middle of the bay in Macau, and it's fucking rad. And he looks so good. And I
This
think
is where the
looks
Skyfall
beautiful.
score comes in.
Dude,
Yeah.
those dragons on the water with the lanterns around it, that was insane. Do you
I-
think
I
the
was-
only way in is via mini boat?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because the
Awesome.
casino itself was in the bay. The whole thing, like, if you look at it, the whole thing's surrounded by like a walkway.
Do you think
But
it's
in
a real
order to-
place?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think
Have
this
you
is
all-
probably
I'm gonna look it
CG,
up.
but it's cool
Yes,
if it is.
Have you all ever watched like porno where
Yes.
like people are banging in the club and you're like, does that ever happen? Where does that ever happen? You have that sort of like is this even a real sort of thing? It's the same way I feel about places like this, like destinations like this, where I'm like, I can't even fathom seeing something like this in real life.
Dude, it's fucking real. When I went to Bali, it's like it's like a tourism thing. So it's like they have these kind of like big events, like these spaces where it's
Got
like
it.
it's kind of like in LA. There's the
Wait,
the
wait,
Instagram.
what happened when you went to Bali?
Did you fuck in a
We
club?
went to places that were like this.
People were just fucking?
No,
Why
not
didn't you
fuck
tell
clubs. No, the
Oh,
casino.
No, the casino.
Oh, sorry. Kevin and I heard fuck clubs and we didn't hear anything.
me? Yeah. I'm now
just
looking
shut
up
down.
fuck clubs.
I was like, Kevin, look up a fucking local fuck club. Let's go shave some people.
Like
Let's go.
when we were watching this, Gio was like, "Oh my god, this looks like not a club, like a lounge that we went to
Got it.
when we were in Bali." It's just like, yeah, they totally exist and it's fucking cool.
That's awesome. Anyway, he walks in and we get a cool shot where Moneypenny's there too, and they shot over earpiece. And as they're walking, they pass each other, and it's cool sound design there where you hear her go from radio to like real life and then back to
Yeah, that was
radio.
cool.
And that's really fun. Bond, of course, cashes in the chip, and they give him a briefcase and some complimentary chips. The briefcase is full of like $4 million. And at that point, I'd be like, do I really want to finish this mission? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
you
I got $4 million
Run
in
away.
briefcase. Maybe
Run
I'll just go back to that beach hut and just keep banging my way through local talent, and then just wait, and then another crop will come up of age. It'll be fine.
Don't touch your ear.
So-
Don't touch your ear, is what he tells her.
Yeah, he does say he has that one though. He's like, "Don't touch
This
your
is
ear."
good.
It's a cool little homage to Casino Royale.
After a little research, that the casino exists, but it's nothing like what we're seeing here.
That's unfortunate.
Um,
I didn't like the whole chip thing. It
What do you
felt
mean?
a little too convenient plot to me, where it's like, oh, okay, we needed something to get you to the next place. So it's like when
Little
Bond
video
finds-
gaming.
when he finds the chip,
Yeah.
it feels like a bad Uncharted moment, not a good one.
Great
I'll
way
say
to pay
this,
someone,
though.
You know what
I
I mean?
will say-
Untraceable.
It's true. You won't even know. That's Kevin and I have been funneling money through casinos for years.
Years.
You guys
Wow.
are
Yeah.
none the wiser. And by funneling money, I mean every time I go to a casino, I bet money and I fucking lose.
I'm in debt.
We lost a lot of our money, guys.
The wrong
Taking
people
all our
are after
money.
me.
Please keep backing us on
people after
Patreon.
Lashiv are after Nick too.
Oh man! Of course, when he goes over, he gets the money. He looks over, and we see Severin again, who's played by Bernice Marlowe. I think that's how you say her name. And man, she looks fucking fantastic in this.
Dude, her
scene.
dress.
It's
her dress
just-
from every angle is just 10 out of 10.
Really
And I
good.
want to give a shout out to her because this next scene, she asks him to go for a drink, and they sit down, and she goes, "I assume you killed Patrice," and he's like, "Eh." He's like, "I killed him so I can meet his employer, or I want to meet your employer." And then she has this moment where when he mentions meeting her employer, her hand shakes a second. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. It's just a very subtle, like, just the mention of the person she works for like terrifies her. But I think she plays this very, very well, where she's still suave and she's still like cunning, but there's an underlying current of fear now from this point on. And basically Bond's like, I want to meet him. I know that those bodyguards behind you aren't really bodyguards. They look like they're your controllers and you're being controlled and this whole thing. Let me meet your boss and I'll kill him. And she goes, maybe you can, but probably not. And she goes, what do you know about fear? And he goes, I know all there is to know about fear. She goes, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Fear is a path to the dark side.
But she goes, listen, I'm going to leave. And then when I do leave, those bodyguards are going to kill you. But if they don't kill you, I'm leaving to go meet my employer on a boat, like in a few hours. So maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I won't. Good luck fighting 3 dudes and 2 Komodo dragons.
I fucking love this. This reminds me a lot of the scene we got in the last movie with Felix, with the American guy, where he's just like, you got 30 seconds. This kind of feels like the more antagonistic version of that. And I was here for it.
And they do fight. And then, of course, Moneypenny has a little redemption moment where the guy's about to shoot him as he's climbing back up from the little pit. And Moneypenny like stops the guy and kicks him in the fucking face. And she's like, "Sir, I did something." He goes, "Cool. Now you can just go back to the desk."
How many?
Go back to the desk.
Why do you hate her so much? I don't understand.
He hates her so much, Kev. How many people here at this casino
Terrible.
are just like civilians on like?
None. These are all bad people. Like
these are all bad people.
Yeah, if you came in a little boat, if you know the setup, you're a bad person. You know what I mean?
But
You're
I gotta-
just-
Me and Gia were just
to a
outside of
restaurant?
frame.
Because here's what I got to assume.
Sam, this is not the Shanghai Club 33. This is like where bad people go to do
these are bad
things.
people moving
I'm
a
a
lot of
bad
money
guy.
around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Exactly.
some are bad people that don't really have ties to actual murder. They just have people murder for them, sort of thing. But but there had to have been a decent amount of people there.
I think
Sure,
still makes some
Kev,
really bad
sure.
people.
You're right. But there had to have been people there that were a little shocked by a fucking Komodo dragon eating a man, like alive.
A
But
big
it
man
didn't
too.
seem like anyone was like when the commotion started. No one was phased, and when they fell over, like when he climbs back up, no one's like staring on the side of the railing. You know what I mean?
Like where's the
I
other
think they
guy?
just-
There was
I think
another
they
guy
just
down
kept
there.
walking around, and we're just like, yeah, man. Sometimes people get into fist fights and fall in the Komodo pit.
If you're at a zoo and
That's what
somebody
it's there
falls
for.
into the
Yeah.
gorilla cage, like it's a spectacle. The news comes
yeah.
over.
Oh, 100.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But if you go to like some like a drug dealer's house, like if he's got like a private island or something,
True.
and someone falls into his lion pit, it's normal day.
You get what you knew what you're getting into.
Right, that's
And
just
Kevin,
the kind of
this-
stuff that goes down.
It's
Yeah.
just Tuesday. Yeah.
Kevin, this is my question for you. Do you think the Komodo dragon pit exists there to settle grievances, and then if someone dies, the Komodo dragons just kind of clean it up?
You know, the funny thing, I don't know that Komodo dragons aren't. I think they're scavengers.
Science with Kev. I'm Kevin.
I'm not a zoologist. I can't even front that I'm a zoologist. Maybe a Komodo. I mean, I feel like a Komodo dragon will attack you, and their big problem is that they have very dirty teeth. You know,
Yeah,
'cause the stuff
all the
they're
bacteria.
eating a lot
Tons
of
of
rotten
bacteria in their
meat.
teeth.
They're a
So,
big problem.
so they'll. I think they might also have poisonous nails.
Like they have a
But I'm not
grievance.
sure about
They're
that.
always like us in the
Good God.
Komodo dragon community
Well,
are
'cause-
tired of dirty teeth. Like,
They're gonna bite you.
Give us a big toothbrush for crying out.
They're gonna bite you. They're not that big. They're gonna bite you, and you're gonna get a real bad infection. You're probably gonna lose that limb.
Oh, yeah.
Just so
They're gonna rip it
that's
off.
the concern. So this guy probably not dead. Probably gonna lose a couple legs.
okay, good to know.
A couple.
As Moneypenny tries to give Bond back the money, and he goes, "Nah, go put it all on Red." And you're like, I hope she won, because that's like $8 million.
That's a
pretty
lot
amazing.
of money. Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking-
I will say though
moolah.
that this scene, just the whole Komodo dragon murder scene, really kind of turned me off, and it
You're not turned on by people getting eaten by Komodo dragons?
It was more of like it was too
cartoony and weird.
Yeah. Where it was so outlandish that like this Komodo dragon, like the whole fight, everything all about it, like kind of really bummed me out. I was like, ah, shit, this movie's gonna kind of take a turn for the worse, isn't it? And it ramped back up, luckily. But I was really worried.
But yeah, that scene specifically, also like the way it ends with him kind of hopping on another Komodo dragon to grab the leg.
Even worse.
It's just like, oh, this is such a, like, it feels like maybe not even the Pierce Brosnan one, but it feels like a much older 007.
It feels silly.
Yeah,
it was jumping the shark. It was jumping the shark.
Yeah.
Jumping the moto.
Stepping on the moto. That's it.
Back at the boat, of course, a captain pops his head in and tells Severin it's time to cast off, and she gives him a look of disappointment as she gives the order to go ahead and cast off. And then later, she's like, "Damn, Bond didn't come through after all. Just another dude disappointing me." And then I guess I'll just get in a steamy, hot, sexy shower, and then Bond just takes it upon himself to come into the shower.
Bond. Not okay at all. This is the moment of like, okay, Bond, you are a creepy motherfucker. That this is sexual harassment. This is bad.
Well,
I think this goes beyond harassment. This would be assault.
All though. She just kind of seemed like that was business as normal.
That doesn't matter.
Let's just put it this way, guys out there for listening. If you think a woman likes you, ask her for coffee first. Don't sneak into her shower.
Naked.
Naked, because that's a surprise you can't come back from. Exactly. But they have some back and forth, and I guess it makes it okay. Anyway, back in London, Em and Mallory watch the fallout on the news blender. Oh, I missed a point where I think the first 5 names got leaked, and then people got killed and all that stuff. And the Prime Minister wants Em's head, and Mallory wants them to come out of the shadows and be accountable for their cock up. And the theme of old versus new is pressed again. As they approach the bad guys island, Bond turns on the distress signal, so he puts a little radio on. He's like, "I'm gonna get this guy," and she goes, she's like, "It's not too late to turn back." And Bond looks back behind him, and all the guys have guns, and they literally like comically cock the guns. And Bond's like, "No, I think it's too late. I think we've gone too far here. I gotta keep moving forward." It's
funny, as we were watching the movie, Paula was like, "Wait, why isn't anyone?" Like, there's other people on the boat. Like, or aren't they freaked out that he's there? And I was like, that's a good question. And when they turn around, we see that, like, no, they are. I
like this because you get this weird foreboding sense that Bond is there, not like he doesn't have the upper hand. I think when I watched this the first time, I'm like, this is too easy. She's leading him just into a trap, and then I'm sure shit, yes, they walk them through this town with their hands cuffed behind their backs, and we start seeing sort of like she gives us a little bit of backstory on who this bad guy is, who we still haven't been introduced to, by the way. Yeah. But she says, he wanted this village, so he took the village. He convinced everyone that there was a chemical leak and that they were all going to die, and so overnight they all just abandoned it, and now this is his home. And you're like, that's cool. Some shit.
It's awesome lore
shit right there.
I love this shit,
dirty
dude.
Though,
Yeah, but he just has islands everywhere.
Like maybe get a smaller island that you can keep up.
It's just
there was.
I'll ask everywhere. You this. I thought about you here, Kev, because this next scene they tie Bond to a chair in a server room, and all these servers are just exposed, and there's no casing at all. Are they going to?
Where's the cooling? Where's the cool? Don't they need a good ventilation system? It's going to get hot in there.
It's not realistic.
It must be hot in there, dude. Holy shit.
It's going to be hot, Andy.
Holy shit. It's going to be real
hot in there.
Yeah.
Of course it's hot.
Those servers are melting for sure. I mean, that's just how it's going to be.
Speaking of hot, Nick Way, who should show up in the world's slowest moving elevator but Javier Bardem? That's right. Thiago Silva himself rides down the elevator and then slowly walks up to Bond as he tells the creepiest... Andy.
Is it a wig? I don't know. Wigging Out with Scarpino.
Welcome back to Wigging Out with Scarpino, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Nick Scarpino. And yes, Javier Bardem was in fact wearing a wig. But surprisingly, I didn't have a problem with this because it's backed up later by the fact that half of his face is fake.
Was he?
What?
Wearing a wig.
I assume so.
Because from my intel, a big deal was made by him deciding that he was going to dye his hair blonde.
Oh, he just dyed it blonde?
And he wanted that to be his defining feature. I just think that he shouldn't have blonde hair. So that's why it looked so weird.
Really? I mean, his eyebrows were blonde too. It was weird.
I thought the off-puttingness of it would like where it's like this doesn't look like a normal person made it more like it worked at making him a villain, you know?
Wait, hold on, Tim. So Javier Bardem said that he dyed his hair, or the character said he dyed his hair?
I think Javier Bardem, the actor, dyed his hair.
The actor said that he did that to make the character more of a villain, to have that defining thing.
No, yeah, I know. I just didn't know if they said that in the movie or not. So, like, I mean,
there's a scene like, oh shit, your hair's black. Like, oh yeah,
I dyed it.
I don't think it was necessary. It looked really off. I thought it was a wig straight up. The eyebrows were definitely dyed as well. Yeah, I straight up thought it was a wig, and obviously they were going for like the Spaniard look, because there's a lot of Spaniards and even like people from deep Mexico that are blonde hair, blue eyed, you know, and that's
dude, I have an old jiu-jitsu instructor of mine named Tiago who is super blonde hair, blue eye.
Yeah,
he's from Brazil, so yeah, it happens. He looks fucking great with the shirt off. Anyway, moving forward.
All right.
It says there's moments where my brain starts working, and part of it's like, stop there.
No,
stop
isn't.
right there.
No, there isn't.
This is the only information that they needed. You don't need to give them the other piece of information that's going to turn them against you one day. Doesn't matter. This story that he tells, by the way, about his grandma getting rats to stop eating coconuts is terrifying to me.
So good. Yeah.
And of course, it's the entire time it is a low key reference to what M does to them, where she basically takes all these people, puts them in this horrible situation, and then whoever survives, they become the two killer rats that then go out and have a hunger for blood, for their own kind's blood. And I love that.
I gotta assume this was a one taker. Like
it was. He literally walks in and says it.
Yeah, but like on the first try, he just nailed him. They're like, man, one take Bardem. Add it again.
Just like, oh, that was it. All right.
Yeah.
Fun fact, good. I watched Old School the other night, and they called Luke Wilson one take Luke because he would do a lot of his shots in one take, and everyone's like, man, dude, you're really good at this.
Wait,
he's like, thanks.
Did you watch the commentary as well?
When I watch movies, I just have the IMDb trivia up.
I like that too. I like doing
and Danielle hates it until my wife hates it until she goes, and then I tell her something that's actually she likes. She goes, oh, I like when you do this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Cool.
For a long time, we used to do ads. We would record them with the what is that thing called? The teleprompter on there, and I would call Timmy to take Timmy because it always took him 2 takes.
It always took me 2 takes.
Yeah, he'd fuck up the first one real bad, and the second one he would just nail it. He would just nail it. It was really
proud of you, Tim.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, I'm on my phone. Troy Baker's texting me. When Troy Baker texts you,
you answer.
What's he up to?
What's he up to? I'll tell you guys later. But anyway, sorry I'm on my phone.
I thought he was watching the show.
Hey, Tell him I said what's up, man. Tell him I said what's up.
Troy. I will.
Anyway, back to the scene. Then we get this moment where Officer Silva's done. He tells you, he was like, M sent you off to die. She knew you were going to die, and you have to hate her. And then he starts kind of flirting with Bond a little bit. And I fucking love it. Like, I love it.
Love it.
It's so good.
Paula was falling asleep. I was like, whoa, you want to watch this next scene? Stuff's going to get real sexual. She's like, wait, what?
And she goes,
unnerving.
He puts his hand on Bond's legs and he goes, there's a first time for everything. And then Bond goes, what makes you think this is my first time? And I'm like, both of these guys fuck. You know what I mean? Like, both of these guys fuck.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what or where. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm into it all. Let's go, baby.
But it's also cool to see James Bond using that same charm that he kind of uses to take advantage of people. Trying to do it against this guy.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see that because we've never seen that role, like him doing that to a man,
Right. It was good. I love this whole scene. And then, of course, he talks about, the computers and all the cool things he can do with the computers. And Bond goes, everyone needs a hobby. And then he goes, what's yours? And Bond goes, resurrection. And I'm like, all right, let's move outside.
All right.
Then he takes Bond out back where he has Severin tied up.
He was dead, remember?
Oh, fuck. Oh,
right? Yeah.
This movie, man.
He takes Bond out to the back and they play a horrible game where Bond has to shoot a shot glass off of Severin's head.
This happens so fast. Like, they walk outside and and like all the we're going to set the stakes up super fucking high until the helicopters come. Like, I feel that it probably plays out over 5 minutes, but it feels like it's 25 seconds of just boom, boom, and you're like, well, she's gone.
Great action.
What the fuck?
He kills her, yeah. And then I
love the your lovers are here. Him telling her that, like, that's just so
it's creepy.
So fucked up, man.
So he was doing out of spite because she had slept with him?
I think she just was doing it. He just wanted to show Bond that
just sending a
everyone's
message.
disposable and that he's got
sucks.
his shit on point, and he doesn't really care about her at all. He just wanted to torture Bond. The whole thing is about turning Bond against M.
Right.
And then once he realizes he's not going to do that, he just
But it
is like,
just
fuck it,
seems
who cares?
it just seems silly to be like, hey, this woman doesn't care about like her workers, and then him do the exact same thing.
I mean, man, that's why you don't gamble at that casino. Everyone's bad there. They're just using each other. I do at first when I watched this, I was like, wow, they killed the Bond girl off like halfway through this movie. That's so weird that they did that. And it didn't occur to me until I think the second time that I'm like, oh,
Bond girl.
She's not the Bond girl. M is the Bond girl.
Yeah.
M is the love of his life, and like M is the one that he has, he actually loves.
And that's why I think this movie
And then they
kind
kill
of
the
like
Bond
moves
girl.
beyond the other stuff of like Quantum and stuff, where it goes back to that casino thing where because with James and Vesper, it's like you believe in the relationship because it's a real relationship, and I think this works as well because it's not just like disposable. Oh, there'll be a new one next movie type thing. Like M will never be replaced. Not that M.
Not in that way, not with that dynamic for sure. And I love that too, and I love also. I lost that point. We'll just move on. Let's see. Silva. Oh, okay. Of course, then, Bond's like, wow, you fucking killed her. Now it's time for me to do a bunch of cool shit. And he kills everyone around him. And I'm like, Bond, why didn't you do that 3 seconds earlier before he shot this poor woman who you said you'd save?
Silva had a gun.
Yeah, but so did all the other guys that had
that
guns.
was the only guy that was a risk. Everyone else was kind of just space.
Well, the other guys weren't 000 agents or
Exactly,
007 agents at any point in their life.
Dude, how cool was that sequence when he takes everyone down in like
so badass?
Like 2 seconds? Oh, it was really cool. Loved it.
Pretty amazing. And then of course he goes, he calls in the cavalry and helicopters come out of fucking nowhere.
Timed it perfectly.
Yeah. It's nice. And then he goes, latest thing from Q Branch. It's called a radio because he was like, ha ha ha, you got all these cool computers, but I have this fucking old piece of technology that just took you down.
This joke keeps going for way too long,
It really does.
Where it's like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it the first time. I don't know because later he does it back. He's like, well, it's called a radio. Click.
I like that though.
So it comes
I
back
think that part is dope.
Well, no, but
I love
the first
that part.
time when it was introduced, and he's like, it's a radio, and it's like, wait.
Hey man, comedy's best in threes. Let's see. So then they take Silva into a glass cage. I think that it was the same place they held Magneto. And then this is a great scene.
And Loki.
Can we talk about the technology behind the doors? Like there's the glass case, and there was glass doors in front of that, and they can turn into fog. Like they
Oh, the frosted glass.
They turn frosted glass into normal glass.
Those are real. That's real.
Yeah, no,
Remember the
that's a real
hotel we had in
technology.
London?
Fucking rad.
Yeah.
The hotel in London when we went to RTX London. Oh man, Kev, it was so cool. Like basically, like, you could shower naked in front of your partner or whatever, or if anybody's out there.
You could do that.
Or you just hit the fog button and it just covers everything. It was so cool, man. So
Can
cool.
they still see your silhouette? So if you're beating it, they know.
Yeah, they just like little wiener sticking up.
God.
Audio listeners. You gotta
watch that.
Just don't.
That's just for us. They start interrogating him. And this scene, by the way, so that was the other thing I was going to say was like, the Silva character is kind of just almost a cookie cutter deranged character, but because Javier Bardem is so good, you believe it, and you believe that he's been fucked over by M and he wants revenge, but it's kind of twisted him, and all the shit he's been through has kind of made him a little fucking nuts. And I love this scene. This is the scene where he's like, wow, you're smaller than I remember. Look at you. You're so small.
But her response is great too, where she's like, and I'm sure you're bigger or what did she say? She's like,
I hardly remember you.
Yeah.
No, I thought she said, I'm sure you remember yourself bigger or something like that.
And this is great too, because Silva talks about why he hates M here, where she basically let him go. She cut him loose, and he was tortured for 5 months before he just thought to myself, this is not these people's fault. The person that put me in this was M. And he goes, and then I remembered my cyanide capsule in my molar, and I tried to swallow it, but it didn't work. And then he says, life clung to me like a disease.
God damn, this is so good, dude.
What a great
That's a
pick.
great line.
This what's his face? The name of this actor? He was such a
I
good
bet
pick.
about him.
Such a good pick for this role.
Phenomenal. If you want to see him in an even crazier role, go watch No Country for Old Men, where he plays the assassin in that, and it's fucking terrifying.
Not enough in it, though.
Just enough. That character was freaky with his bowl cut. He likes to do the hair thing. You know what I mean, Tim? Where he's like, I'll do a bowl cut. That's creepy. It's like, yeah, it reminds me of it.
Freaky hair.
I will say that, and then obviously the reveal happens with what cyanide does to you or whatever, like what it does, and he shows her or whatever, yeah, and he's all fucked up. I thought, oh, this is gonna come back. We're gonna see him at the end with the fucked up face in like some crazy cool battle, and it didn't happen. I was kind of bummed out.
I was fine with this, man. Without knowing much about James Bond, just the Pierce Brosnan movies, kind of, and GoldenEye the game. I thought when he did that and he had the fucked up teeth, I was like, oh, is he Jaws? I don't know who Jaws is. I just know Jaws is a bad guy.
Jaws is
definitely not Jaws.
No.
Yeah. He's like a really tall, big henchman guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, out in the hallway, M tells Bond Silva's real name, what really happened to him. Basically, he was operating outside of authority, and he started doing all sorts of crazy shit, like hacking the Chinese government. And then she was like, we got to let this guy go. And then when push came to shove, she gave him up and got 5 agents in return with a peaceful transition. She's like, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. That guy's fucking nuts.
That sucks, though.
And Bond's like, damn, that does suck. And then Bond and Q try and hack Silva's computer, but when they do, guess what, motherfuckers? Big surprise. This is what Silva wanted all along. He wanted to be captured because it was the only way to hack into their impenetrable standalone computer that MI6 has in their new digs. This scene, by the way, is happening while M is going to this intelligence committee hearing where she's getting her ass chewed out for all the failures and the leak and all this stuff. And then as all hell's breaking loose, Silva escapes. And he's like, he starts doing stretches and like zips up, and the guy's like, "Are you going somewhere?" And at this point, I'd be like, if this international terrorist that is terrifying started zipping up and preparing to leave, I'd be like, can we get like 40 more people in here? Because this dude's doing something.
Yeah, we're gonna need 40
Yeah,
more
it's
people.
scary.
I'm
scared.
And I have to imagine that this guy was trained by the same person that trained Moneypenny, because he is a fucking waste of space and air and probably deserved to die. That's all I'll say.
It seems a little extreme, but
I'm
glad
glad. Give us your opinion.
Anyway, Bond realizes that Silva's going for M. He tells Q. Has Q tell Tanner to pull her out of the meeting, but Tanner, being the little fucking waste of life suck up that he is, just lets the old bat sit there and just steams. He's like, hey, we gotta go, and she's like, fuck you. Mom's talking. Grandma's talking. I'll get you an ice cream later. And Tanner's like, okay.
Yeah,
Could have avoided.
I feel like it was Tanner
all of
as
this.
much as she was like, shut the fuck up, right?
It's your job to protect this woman. You pull her out. Like,
no,
you think
it's
that
not
when
his job to protect
if a balloon pops in a rally and you're a senator and a Secret Service agent pulls you down, you don't get to tell the guy to stop. It's his job to grab you and pull you down to the table. Have you seen In the Line of Fire? Great movie. That's exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Oh, good.
Anyway, Bond chases Silva through the subway, and they both slide down that center rail of the escalator, and it looks really fun. Kevin,
really
you ever
did it.
wanted to do that?
Daniel Craig really did that stunt.
I just think it's a little silly that James Bond was the one that figured out the whole like the computers being hacked thing, because he was like, oh, that word right there, that's a train station. I just thought that scene was like, all right, cool. Now he figured it out.
It's like
Man,
the shit.
I don't think they needed any of this. I
Yeah.
think they could have just literally the second they plugged it in, had everybody like. Now this is of course a character moment for Q, who was super cocky about his abilities, and then had to learn, oh shit, even I'm not infallible to all this stuff. Like, this guy outsmarted me. So we did have that moment where he's like, shit, how did he get in? And then looks over and goes, oh, I let him in.
All the weird
this scene was long
ads
as fuck.
with M. I didn't like any of it. Where it's just like it would randomly like they pull up the computer and it's
Dig on
like
your
M's
scene.
face like
Yeah.
doing weird ass things. Like, what the fuck?
You didn't say the magic word.
It's like, do you have like an
Jurassic
Andy
Park, I
out
get it,
there
Andy.
that's doing the graphic design for you?
I feel like he was like, I'm really good at computers, but I don't understand motion graphic work. So he just Googled After Effects tutorials, and
went
this
to
was the first one
Fiverr.com.
that came up. And Andy, when you do tutorials and they give you all the assets you need for it, and then you end up using those in a different project and trying to tell your client that those are completely new. And you-
I've
that's
never
what-
done that. No, I never plagiarized work. No.
Neither have I. Neither have I.
Cool.
Anyway, he gets
Just being
They go
honest,
down-
you know?
they chase each other, and then he gets the beat on Silva until Silva fucking throws a subway train at him. And I'm like, whoa, that was cool. Like, you knew that someone was going to come after you, so you had
Awesome.
that right. And I was like, that's pretty dope. Then over at the hearing, Silva starts
Wait,
shooting.
real quick. Also, like, James, fucking shoot him while he's talking.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
In a ladder, you know his next step is gonna be up or down. Shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Not only that, but he
Then
he
move.
shoots at him and stops him, and then goes the next. If you move again, I'll kill you. And it's like,
Or
this guy's
just
already
fucking kill
killed
him.
so many.
Yeah.
Just kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like as soon as he missed those shots, I thought he was gonna reference his shooting like scores or whatever. It's like, hey, Mr. 40 out of 100. Take it easy, bro. Like,
I do. Yeah, it is interesting because I think the reason he left him alive was because they wanted to get the drive from him, but that never really comes back as a plot beat, right? I mean, I guess maybe they got it from him on the island, is what we're supposed to understand. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We did miss an important part on the island where he tells that M's been lying to him and lied about his scores, and Bond's like, yeah, no shit. I can only do fucking 4 pull-ups. I knew I didn't pass those tests. What are you?
I liked all the test stuff. I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
me too.
Like I'm saying that he cleared even though he didn't. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
cool.
feel like
She's
they
like, he'll
did
get the job.
reveal that way. Like they revealed it when it happens. Like she has the conversation right with Mallory, where she's like, yeah, he didn't. Or he was like, he didn't pass, and she's like, he's ready if I'm saying he's ready, right?
Yeah. Basically, Tanner's like, I didn't know Bond passed. She's like, he fucking didn't pass.
with
Come
Tanner,
on, get on the same
yeah.
page. Yeah. Anyway, everything starts going crazy, and everyone bursts through, and everyone starts shooting, and then Mallory of all people jumps in front and catches a bullet for M, pulls her down, and then Moneypenny comes in and starts shooting, and all of a sudden, finally, she figured out how a gun works. The whole time she was pointing at herself. She's like, I don't understand. Is this how it's supposed to go? And everyone's like, don't pull the trigger. Don't pull. And then finally, she was like, oh my god!
Everyone's like, yeah.
I understand how this works.
Did you just win over Tim?
Go to your desk and sit, Moneypenny. You're not. Field agent's not cut out for everyone.
You have such a vendetta against her.
It's just like, why? I feel like it's a cool introduction and like to a character from historic 007 stuff that like makes sense and is interesting. Instead,
Sure,
we just
if
hate
that
it.
fucking character's whole point in life is to make you sandwiches and not save your life.
I mean, she did save a bunch of people's lives
All
right
that's
there,
a good
though.
point.
Yeah,
That's a
you
good
know.
point. I digress. All right. So let's see. All hell starts breaking loose. Everyone's shooting everyone, and then Bond comes in and he gets the bright idea to shoot the fire extinguishers and make a smoke screen. And he just kind of walks in like, "Fuck you," where everyone's hiding, and he just walks in and starts blasting everyone. You're like, "Yeah, dude, why not? That's the way to do it." Fucking Moneypenny, take notes. And then let's see. Bond grabs M and he takes her. Or actually, I'm sorry. As M's leaving, Tanner puts her in the car, and the car just takes off. And it's Bond driving, and she's like, "Are you kidnapping me?" He's like, "Well, I guess in a manner of sorts. I got to get you off the grid. We got to go old school." And she's like, "Okay, that makes sense, I guess."
Yeah, and they go to the island of Samoa, and they meet up with the Rock's family.
Literally to the point where it's like, "Do we still have the gun cabinet?" And she goes, "No, I gave all those guns away." And you're like, "Mama, no."
I was like, "Who the hell was he?" He was the mom. He was the mom.
Mama,
No.
because we get that scene later here too.
Mookie.
I'm just kidding, Momo. So let's see. Bond's like, basically, listen, Silva's been one step ahead of us the entire time. We need to change the game. And then M's like, oh, and I'm to be used as bait for this. And he goes, yeah. And she goes, all right, cool, I'm game because we got to kill this motherfucker.
She's like, yeah, I get it. Like, I understand. I really enjoyed that
Fair.
whole back and forth.
Fair
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. And then, of course, Bond, in order to go old school, because all the cars have trackers in them, gets the 1964 Aston Martin out that he won from the retirement home in Florida. And then we get that, like, as he pulls it off, we get the old school Bond theme. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking pretty cool.
And then the Bond theme continues to play as they drive.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. This is
And
so
she's like,
hype.
this is super uncomfortable. And he's like, yeah, I know. Shut up, Mom. Shut up. You know how, like, your mom's like, you have to take me to the store. And you're like, fuck. So, and then you talk to your brother, like, who's taking mom to the store? You guys are fine. Y'all fucking take her. And then she complains the entire time about how you're taking her to the store. That's what this reminded me of.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm just going to put it that way. Like, if you didn't want me to take you to Safeway, fucking take an Uber. You know what I mean? Don't criticize my driving. Anyway.
A lot of projecting from Nick in this episode.
They make
wait, real quick. They added an ejector seat. Someone added an ejector seat and machine guns to this car, but not a tracker. You know what I mean, guys?
Kevin, we're
know what I
not
mean?
going to ask
I
questions.
didn't get
about
the
this
read
car.
that this is the same car from Casino Royale.
How would he have
Pretty
gotten
sure.
a new
Well,
car?
yeah. Like
They don't you can't just go and buy a fucking 1964 Aston Martin. Like, this is a
I
very
think you might be able to do that.
share for like $300,000, maybe $400,000.
Yeah.
Money doesn't seem like an issue at all for any of these people.
But I think it is the same.
Why
one.
would you buy the exact same car you already have in order to put stuff in it? Nothing about this makes sense. This is I hate this part of this movie. I'm like, why the fuck? God, get the car, great. Don't show the gadgets. You didn't need to show the gadgets. It would have kept me in the reality of the world. This takes me completely out of the fucking reality. It's ungrounded. It's stupid.
I'll say this.
We'll move on. Andy from Kind of Funny.
I was cool with it.
Oh, good.
Great.
It was
Good.
fun.
Yeah.
I thought it
wasn't
made this a
against
better
it.
movie, even though it is weird compared to the other movies. I think that in this movie, it's cool.
Either way, Bond takes M to Skyfall, and we finally figure out what Skyfall is. And guess what, Tim? Is Skyfall a cool mission that he failed? No. Is it a piece of tech? No. Is it an agent? No. It's the place he grew up.
It's his past, Tim.
The initial part where they drive in and they show the statue of what? There's an animal statue.
It's
a
deer, or like a buck.
Yeah. Is Skyfall visible there, or was it only visible when
No, I think it's
Bardem and his crew rolling? Okay, because
No,
I
I think you see it there.
Yeah,
I didn't notice
the you shot. You see it says Skyfall. Like,
got it. Okay, I had only seen the statue there, and so I didn't know where they were going, and I guess I just didn't notice it because I was looking at what animal
So
statue.
at that point, I was like, oh, it wasn't called Skyfall because when he fell,
yeah,
earlier,
totally.
I thought that's
Like, wow.
I was like,
No,
it's
Skyfall.
the name of the house.
The themes,
Just
man.
the name of the place where his parents were grisly murdered
Were
by
they?
apparently maybe the gameskeeper. We don't know. We don't really understand how they
just
died,
said
but
that
it is
died.
it is
Grizzly
set up.
murder seems
I
like
just
you're
have to
making your
assume
own.
that Kincaid fucking murdered their asses. Of course, it is. Then we do get a little quip where M does confirm, in fact, that Bond is an orphan, and you're like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But they decided to go with that. Now his big plan here, and this is kind of where this movie.
One more question about the orphan stuff.
Sure.
But like, was he raised by Kincaid after that? Like, he wasn't sent to like an.
I think he was sent to a boarding school where
really?
he had to basically was raised in the educational side. Basically Harry Potter.
I felt like Kincaid
It's
had a
basically Harry
relationship,
Potter
like
ripoff.
uncle relationship with him, where he was like, "Remember when I tell you to shoot a gun?" And then he was like, "Whoa, what have you been doing? Why are you shooting so well?"
Yeah, it's unknown. We don't know quite how that happened, but we do know that Bond was probably in the system at some point, at least in boarding schools, because we have that moment from Vesper that he reacts to in Casino Royale, where she's like, "You wear a suit, but you wear it with disdain. You like you don't fit in that world."
Right. Wait, actually, one more question that kind of came up. Someone was mentioning that this is in Scotland.
It is in Scotland, which I have here, which is
that
a really cool. What?
No, go ahead.
I like that it's in Scotland because it's a nice little nod to the fact that Sean Connery was Scottish, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, cool.
The original Bond was Scottish. And I will say this, though, wherever the fuck this is, I don't know what part of Scotland this is, it's gorgeous. The scenery here is fucking ominous and beautiful and haunting. And
I'll tell you what I hate, though.
Great place.
I'll tell you what I hate, though. And a lot of whenever movies do this, clearly this movie was shot at 1 p.m. in daylight, but we got to make it look dark somehow. I hate when movies do that. And it's so obvious a transition between the actual night shots and the daytime shots where they just put like a crazy dark blue filter and everything and like bring down everything. That shit annoys me.
Like
ladies and gentlemen, before we move on, let me tell you about our sponsor, MeUndies. I'm wearing them right now. I'm wearing the socks. I'm wearing the undies. And underneath all this, I'm wearing a MeUndies shirt. There's a membership now, the Undies membership, and they just send you the undies when you need them. You're constantly getting your new undies, and you're going to feel good. Andy, are you wearing them right now?
I'm not, unfortunately. And I knew I was having a bad day, Tim.
Yeah. I'm having a great one. Good. What prints are you wearing?
Oh, it's little sushi ones.
You got them sushis?
Yeah,
I love that.
great.
The blue ones with the sushi, with little cartoon sushis. I like that. Right
I
now
don't
I'm just
love
wearing
eating sushi,
purple.
but I want those. Those sound great.
Yeah. What'd you just say?
I don't eat sushi.
Oh, I think you said you've never eaten sushi, and I'm like,
No. But I would enjoy those because they sound like they're
very
look 'em up.
soft.
I'm gonna
They're
look 'em up
adorable
right
and they're soft. MeUndies are the softest undies to ever grace your nether regions. That's because they're made with micromodal. What the heck is that? It's a magical, sustainable, soft as heck fabric made from trees. Yes, trees. They make your bits feel like they're floating on a cloud. They're designed to be the softest thing you'll ever put in your body and offered in a range of sizes from extra small to 4XL. MeUndies don't just make undies like I was saying. They also make loungewear, t-shirts, socks, whole bunch of stuff. I am MeUndies out and I am living my best life. MeUndies has a great offer for you guys. For any first-time purchasers, you can get 15% off and free shipping. This is a no-brainer, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. To get your 50% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning.
They have little faces. They're so
Yeah.
adorable.
I love it.
Yeah, I forgot
That's
to
cute.
mention they're all excited because they're about to get eaten.
Yeah, they're really, really cute.
They just want to get eaten.
Mhm.
MeUndies. I love it. I'm touching my socks right now, and even the socks have the micromodal fabric.
Oh no, I haven't done laundry yet. I have plenty of MeUndies that need to be back in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
I
I
just
might
did
buy
laundry last night.
I might buy a new 3-pack.
I think
I buy a new 3-pack?
I think I only own 5 of them, so I asked Paula if she could do the laundry so that I can make that work throughout the week.
I think I have a week's worth of MeUndies, but I definitely and I thought, oh, I'll be good, but like I'm not washing my clothes once a week.
Do you go to the laundromat? Or do you have
no. I have a washer dryer here.
That's so easy to do then. You know what I mean?
It's so easy, Kev. It's so easy.
Nick, where were we?
We were at Skyfall, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Here's the big plan to fight this super advanced cyber terrorist organization with nearly endless resources and soldiers and money. Their big plan is they're going to take M to Wayne Manor, where thankfully groundskeeper fucking Willie is waiting for them with a double barrel shotgun and just his wits, you know? And I'm like, why? With just the gameskeeper is just there. What this is all this guy does all fucking day. What does he do? He just shoots some deer every once in a while.
Isn't that how that works? Like he just.
I don't know what a gameskeeper is. I
think
said groundskeeper, but
I'm gonna talk shit about it.
I think it's a groundskeeper, right?
Well, I think it's the same.
he said it was the gameskeeper.
But I think that's like the British version.
Is that what it is?
I think he lives in probably either a section of that Skyfall, or he's got a little house near it, and he just takes care of the grounds.
Well, either way,
It's bullshit.
this guy's old as fuck. This guy's old as fuck. He's just like, and Bond's like, listen, we got some fucking killing to do. And Kincaid's like, I'm in. You don't have to sell me on this, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in 30 years.
Let's kill
And
men.
you've come back with this old woman. Let's
Kill
fucking.
men.
I've been waiting to murder people. I
Yeah.
haven't killed someone since I fucking murdered your parents. And I'm
You
itching
don't
for
know
some blood
that.
on my tongue.
Just changing the lore now. Changing the lore.
I'm gonna
huh?
lick the blood off your fucking
No.
dead face.
Okay, you're right there. You go a little further, you're gonna go down that slope you don't want to go down, Nick.
Yeah.
And then Kincaid sort of flirts with M, and he's like, "What's up?" And she's like, "I don't know, what's up?" And he's like, "What's up? You want to see my tunnel?" And she's like, "I hope that's a euphemism
For your asshole.
or for your asshole." Would you imagine if it was like, "Want to see my tunnel?" And then just anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
It really
What
doesn't
you
matter.
just said is so creepy with the line that he says like a little bit later when he's like, and then James went in there and he came out a man.
James went into my James hid in my tunnel for 2 days, and when he came out, he was no longer a boy. He was a man.
Jesus. Let's keep
Dark
going,
in there
guys.
and
Fucking
tight.
hell.
Anyway, we get some really quick backstory about Bond's parents dying, and then then they start setting booby tracks all over the fucking place, like it's goddamn Home Alone. And Tim, here's where it all comes back into play. You guys give up, or are you thirsty for more?
I'm
Because
thirsty.
it's like it's just the same. I could just hear the music playing in the background where he's like putting the hot thing on the fucking doorknob, and all the crushed glass, and the nails spike out of the thing, and it's like, wow, these guys are in for it.
They're the most horrifying traps they put down. Like the bags with a shotgun in the thing set up for like, all right, well, if I turn on the lights, they'll shotgun blast all these nails. and shit
Yeah,
around.
God.
And then
Awful.
they pull up a floor plank and they're like, well, we'll put a couple shotgun, what are they called?
Oh.
Terrifying.
Shells down here.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know how that would work.
Me
Also,
either.
that's the kind of thing where I'm afraid I'm gonna forget and be walking
Where-
around and be like, oh, I guess I don't have a knee anymore.
My big question was once the parents came home, who cleaned up the tar off of the fucking back steps? Like that shit's not easy to get off, you know?
That's true.
And then did the dad step on the nail too? Like, did you tell people there was a nail there? Do you think Macaulay Culkin just cleaned it all up before his parents got home? I don't understand. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, this isn't weird science, you know?
Did the cops get involved?
With Home Alone?
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, today if I'm a cop, I'm not cleaning this stupid kid's fucking mess up. I'm like, learn for yourself, kid, or die.
No,
That's
but I mean,
how
like,
it
I'm sure the
works.
cops hung on to Macaulay Culkin afterwards, right? Until the parents.
Yeah,
got
except for
there.
that one cop that tried to fucking the front door and was like his hands burned off forever. I digress. Let's go back to the plot. As nightfall, we have a nice little scene here with M and Bond where they're looking out the window, and Bond goes, "Did I fuck this up?" Or M goes, "Did I fuck this up?" And I'm like, "Did she just say fuck?"
Yeah.
And I rolled it
First
back
time
and
to
sure as
say
shit, I
fuck.
put the captions on. I was like, "Oh, she did say fuck."
There's
Anyway.
another time where one of the Bonds, I think it's Timothy Dalton, says fuck, but you don't hear him. It's like
Yeah,
in a loud plane, and you just see him mouth it.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
First time to say fuck.
Another interesting thing about the captions in this movie is that them calling her mom, it's always captioned as ma'am.
That's how they say ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
don't think
I'm
they're calling
saying
her
ma'am, but it sounds mom.
I thought they were always calling her mom this whole time.
No.
No, they're calling it
No.
ma'am.
That's how they say ma'am there.
It is confusing.
I mean, I know they say
I like
mum,
it.
like MUM for mom,
Right.
It's the dialect.
No, this is ma'am, like sir or ma'am
Yeah.
is,
Wow.
is a
They're
more
saying
traditional.
ma'am, yeah.
Really? Holy
Yeah.
shit! I thought it was just like a fuck up with the subtitles.
If she was royalty, if she was of noble birth, they'd call her dame.
She is. She is dame.
Well, in real life.
Andy just goes.
I don't even know if that's true. I just wanted to say that.
The way Kevin was
That's
explaining.
cool as ice.
Yeah,
I mean, she is, right? Isn't Judi Dench is a dame? She's been.
She is?
No,
I
yeah.
guess
the
whatever
actor.
whatever
I'm
knighting
talking about
is.
the character, Nick.
Well, I mean, Em doesn't give a shit about titles or awards, man. She's in it for the blood. Anyway, she starts talking. They have a little fun clip where he's like, I read your obituary you wrote for me, and I thought it was appalling. And they laugh. And then Kincaid's like, I'm still in the tunnel. I'm in the tunnel. If anyone wants to come down here, we're partying with some Bud Light. My pants are off. Anyway, then 11, count them, not one, not two. 11 fully armed soldiers descend upon this old house, and they just walk up. They're like, I'm ready to fucking go. And then Bond asks Kincaid if he's ready, and Kincaid replies, I was ready before you were born. And I'm like, who the fuck are you, old man? Anyway,
He's been waiting for this,
Like,
dude.
Kincaid, do you understand what you're about to do with a double-barreled shotgun?
He's ready to
Against people
die,
with
bro.
Fully automatic machine guns. I mean, he makes it a long time.
again, I owe this
All-
to you,
all-
Bond,
the
because
whole
I
time.
killed your parents. I'm sorry. I fucking murdered your parents. Thankfully, Bond has all those cool, neat gadgets in his car, which if you're a fan of the series, you'll recognize from previous movies not starring Daniel Craig. And you'll probably ask yourself, where'd all this stuff come from? Kind of
here
weird
we
to
go.
introduce those items this late in the movie without ever setting them up at all. And if you've never seen a Bond movie before, you'll probably ask yourself, where did all those items come from? Kind of weird to introduce these items this late in the movie without ever setting them up at all. Anyway,
Or maybe you're just overreading it. It's all fine.
oh well, this car has machine guns. Get over it, Nick. I'll put the question. I'll put the comments in there for you guys. You don't have to put that comment. There it is. Nick, you don't understand anything. Get over it, old man. You haven't seen a Bond movie, you fucking piece of shit.
Was that Triumph the Insult Comic Talk?
It was.
Yeah,
It was
Jesus.
indeed.
That's how I
An
read
old
comments.
reference.
He's in our comments. Wow.
I read all comments in that voice.
Good
Anyway,
Lord.
the battle starts and M blows people up with light bulbs and then screams, "Keep the change, you filthy animal!" And then Bond saves her yet again from death and then realizes that Silva didn't come with the first wave. Instead, he rolls in a fucking attack helicopter, blaring "Boom, Boom, Boom, Boom," which
Good
is a
call.
great song to be
Yeah,
playing.
Good call.
The chopper starts mowing down the first floor of the old house with a fucking 50 cal, and Bond tells M to go to the chapel via the tunnel. And Kincaid's like, yes, finally, someone else will get into my tunnel. Silva starts throwing grenades in the house, and Bond has to dash out of the way like a fucking boss fight in Doom Eternal. And then meanwhile, M and Kincaid escape in the tunnel, and M's like, I got a bullet in the gut, and Kincaid's like, oh no, I could probably do something about that, but remember Ronson, this is payback, bitch. And then Silva blows up Bond's Aston Martin, and he gets really pissed, and so he rigs some makeshift explosives out of some old propane tanks and heads to the tunnel. And he goes, I always hated this place. And then the explosion takes out the helicopter, and Silva's like, damn it.
And also, to be clear, it was no longer his house.
Rats.
Right? When they got there, he was like, this house got sold. I hope they got homeowners insurance right away. Not
Hope
a
so, too.
situation where they could have waited.
I mean, you can't even prove there was a home there.
I'm like, damn, this place is
Come
decimated.
fix my house. Like, what house, bro? Like,
And then Silva looks off into the distance, and he spots, what does he see, Tim? That's right, a flashlight in the darkness. Hey, Kincaid, maybe don't use a fucking torch when you're fleeing from
stupid
armed
fuck.
terrorists in the dead of night. Fucking ready my ass, old man. She says, oh, I was born ready. You're not fucking ready. You don't know what the fuck you're doing here.
he left that torch on the whole time.
The
Was
whole
he
time.
scared of stepping on a snake or what? Like,
Bro, the Scottish snake? They're not deadly.
Are we calling flashlights torches now?
Yeah, that's what they call them in the UK.
No, I know, but are we doing it? Because I'm in.
I've always called them that.
I'm not.
Ever since I read Harry Potter.
Uh,
Anyway, he gets caught in the
I'm
middle.
not in.
Let's see. Bond escapes through the tunnel, but he has to walk across a frozen lake. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was that cold outside to have frozen that entire lake, judging by Bond's outerwear, but I guess it was. And then, of course, right when he gets into the center of it, who should show up? It's Silva. He gets caught in the middle of it, and one of Silva's henchmen walks up with a gun. And Silva's like, you tried real hard, man, but you suck. You basically just need, you and Moneypenny need to go back to college and get a fucking accounting degree because you both are terrible. And Bond's like, I'm not really as bad as Moneypenny, right? And Silva's like, no. Actually, you're not. No one is.
Yeah,
no one close. I hated the henchman walking up. Like, come on, you had to have heard
Crushed ice behind you.
Yeah, like I just hated that. He just kind of magically appeared.
You know what I don't hate though is the fact that Bond, knowing he's defeated, sees only one way out, grabs the henchman's gun, and then shoots a circle of the ice around him, and they drop into it. Super cool. And then Silva goes, huh, like
oh, this
Okay.
motherfucker.
fucking hey, this guy is not fucking around. And then Bond.
Do you think that was like, wow, like I would have done the same thing?
Respect.
Sort of, you know,
that was
like,
respect.
Good shit.
That was admiration, and just he was kind of in awe of him in that moment. Like, what the fuck is this? This guy will go through any means to survive. And then Bond, of course, goes down and kind of like puts a bullshit choke on this guy with a leg. And I'm like, I don't think that choke would have worked. And then he kind of jerks him a little bit, and I guess snaps his neck. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Then when
Nick, you always have to have a final kind of jerk to show that, like, oh, that really killed him right there.
Because I'm like, I don't think that choke wouldn't work. He hasn't closed the loop on it, for one, and two, I just don't think. I mean, guy had both hands in. It wouldn't matter anyway.
But have you seen Daniel Craig's body?
I mean, his thighs alone
under very cold water.
Yeah,
very true. Anyway, Bond makes his way back up to the surface. He can't find the hole at first, but then he has to dive back down and grab the guy's underwater flare, which I guess works. I don't know why you'd have underwater flares, but whatever. Pulls it.
I think all flares might be underwater flares.
Yeah, I think
Really?
so. Yeah.
That's cool as ice. I didn't know that. And then Bond pops up, but we go back over to Silva, and Silva just finally makes his way to the chapel. And when he walks in, M's like, "Fuck, I'm dead," and he's like, of course they had to be here. It had to be us. And he has this scene is so creepy and so great because he puts the gun up to her head and puts his head next to hers and says, just finish us both off with one bullet. Like, pull the trigger. You have to do it. He says, free us both with the same bullet is what he says.
Sick.
And then right before she pulls the trigger,
stuff.
we hear splash. And then it's revealed that Bond didn't even wait. Like, Bond could have probably crossed that 10 feet and been okay. But he's like, fuck this. I can't take the chance. Threw the knife from the door and just buried it in Silva's back. And then Silva turns around and he goes, you got me.
Do you
and
know
he
what
falls to his knees.
What I don't like about this is that, like, I feel like did the knife have any significance?
Well, there was the moment where Kincaid says we could always do it the old way and put down the knife on the table.
Yeah, and then Bond's like, you mean the old way where when you're running from people in the dead of night, you fucking you shake a flashlight around to let them know where you are, Kincaid?
And then also Kincaid also in the church just sort of sitting there like, oh, there's no something here. And then Bardem's like, fucking freeze, bro. I got you. And it's like he just wasn't careful at all. Kincaid had no idea about, like, his surroundings.
Yeah. Why don't you go back to hunting deer, Kincaid, and leave fucking killing for men? Anyway,
it was great to see Bardem, like, slowly losing his motor functions, you know, and realizing, like, I am dead. And he's just like, he's trying to walk to Bond, and he's just like mustering every last bit of energy, and eventually just drops and falls. And it's so sick.
Literally, as he falls to the ground, Bond walks over to him, looks down, and says, "Last rat standing."
Fuck yeah.
And then he dies. And it's fucking awesome. And then, of course, Bond notices that M has keeled over at this point, too. And he goes to her side and scoops her up in his arms, looks over at Kincaid. Kincaid just has that one he just kind of shakes his head like she's a goner. And they look and they have a great last little exchange here where she looks up at him and she looks into his eyes and says, "I did get one thing right." And then she dies. And he's like, fuck, that was intense.
I did love that when Bardem does walk up to M and sees that she is bleeding, because, like, I feel like he still had this sort of past part of him that was like, holy shit, mom, not mom or whatever, but ma'am is bleeding. Like, I just loved how he reverted back to immediately old 007. I don't think that was like a sinister, oh my god, you're bleeding. I think he's just so fucked up that he had this sort of like reaction to it. It was so well acted.
And he has that moment where he pulls her hand apart and goes, "Look what they did to you."
Yeah.
It's just, it's deep, man. It's complex. Anyway, later, Moneypenny meets up with Bond on the roof. She's like, "I didn't know we could come up here." And Bond's like, "Dude, I haven't come up here having fucking camel lights for a long time." You know what I mean, Kevin? Nice brisk day. You get a cup of coffee. You can check into work so your boss sees you and you go, "I'll be right back." And you go up, you have not one, not two, but 3 cigarettes this time. And you talk about how much you hate your boss.
Secret meals.
Little secret meals. And she tells Bond she's sticking to the desk. Guess what? And he's like, "Field work isn't for anyone." And then she's like, "It's not for me." And then Bond goes, if it helps, I feel a lot safer knowing that you're not going to do anything pertinent to anyone's livelihood. You're just going to sit back there and maybe file some papers and occasionally bitch about Post-its. That's all I want you to do, Moneypenny. And then she gives Bond M's bulldog. and he says, maybe this was her way of telling you to take a desk job. And Bond goes, no, it's just the opposite. As in, this thing has survived through explosions and all this stuff, and it's still here, and it's still out in the field, and so should I be. Then they head down to the office, which I think is awesome. And I know you guys probably don't recognize this, but this office layout with the sort of like receiving room, and then the big oak doors is a basically the traditional layout of where M's office used to look like in all the old school Sean Connery movies. I think they changed it in the Pierce Brosnan movies, but pretty much Sean Connery, I think Roger Moore, he would always walk in and like hang his hat on there, and they'd have a quick chat with Moneypenny and kind of gauge the temperature. Where was M pissed off? Is he in a good mood? What am I in for? And then they'd flirt, and then they would never have sex. And you're like, oh, that's so cool. Anyway, Bond heads through into the bigger office where he sees Mallory, and he's greeted there. And Mallory says, so 007, lots of work to be done. Are you ready to get back to work? And he goes, with pleasure, M, with pleasure.
Fuck God, goosebumps, dude. Jesus, this movie rules, man.
This movie's really.
This is like cool. I think this is the first time that I've like fallen in love with the Daniel Craig Bond movies. Like this movie right here sort of cemented that. Like, okay, this movie rules. And just like Tim was saying earlier, this movie fucks. This movie fucks.
I feel like this movie played to like Daniel Craig's strengths, where it's like he is looking a lot older, and that was such a big part of this movie. My problem with this movie is I feel like it's weird to have a 007 movie where at the end of it 007 fails at his mission. You know, he was trying to stop this dude from killing M. M's dead. Yeah. The dude also is dead. It sounds like the dude got exactly what he wanted, you know? And I know that like there's something in that like he didn't actually kill that guy, you know, kill M, and he didn't have that moment that he wanted to have, but it just kind of sours it to be like, oh, this is a movie about kind of James Bond transitioning into that more iconic James Bond that we know, but he still failed at his mission. I don't know.
See, I don't mind that so much. I mean, obviously, because I think Judi Dench just didn't want to do anymore. I thought this was a nice send off for her character. And I thought this movie had a lot of deep themes that it explored. The disappointing factor for me was that literally he walks back into the old Bond movies that we used to know. And that was when I walked out, I was like, I don't understand why they're choosing to go back to the more formulaic style Bond, where he literally walks in and gets the mission briefing from M, and then flirts with Moneypenny a little bit, and then Q's there too to give him some cool stuff. And I just felt like we've progressed beyond that, and now we're going back to it. And, you know, we'll see what they do with No Time to Die. I'm very excited about that, but I'm not looking forward to Spectre. Let's just put it that way.
So that's the thing is like I remember not liking Spectre as much, and I just don't remember it at all at this point, which is exciting for me to go back into this. But it's like we finally have a team. You know, it's like I feel like that's something that I've been wanting to see from these movies for 2 movies now, and it's just like I like where we end here. It's like, all right, cool. It is funny that it feels like every one of these movies is like, well, now he's Bond. Okay, no, but now he's Bond. No, okay, really, guys, though, now he's Bond, and it's like that's weird to me, but this is the most hype I was when the movie ends. I'm just like, I'm excited to see what happens next.
And I'm with you on that.
What happens next?
I'm with you on that. And I think that's probably an issue that they have with Bond in general, is that you always see like Bond is a character all to its own. And it's just, they just sub these actors in playing it. And it never really feels like a real person. And this is why, you know, I think in Casino Royale and in Quantum, they started getting close to that. And there are a lot of real moments in this. But then by the end of it, we're like, okay, he's just this like one-dimensional, you know, guy in a suit that kills people and is suave. And like, I don't know. I just feel like I hope to God they can get back to some of the roots where they actually do put some heart into the story and some character, like actual deep character arcs for Bond, because I like him better when he is this sort of like fatalistic, almost fated to die character.
Let's do a little Ragu Bagu.
7 syllables in the middle. Don't we have to do that first?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's do that first.
We need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret. Haiku don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review.
Nope.
Haiku in review. It's behind.
We were on it.
No. Right. You're on it with me, but then when I'm listening, I'm like 2 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's close though. It's pretty impressive.
Close. It's not bad. Yeah. Not bad.
You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to write your review in haiku form, just like Jacob Meyer did. Skyfall family. James has lost all these things, for this is the end. Grayling Thibodeau says, take the bloody shot, Bond, Home Alone edition. Oh shit, a dragon. Gavin Leith says, this isn't a
That's
haiku,
good.
but you know, a bottle of Macallan 50 costs $39,000. That is such a huge flex. That's insane.
I didn't know that.
No way.
Remember when he wasted a little bit and he was like, "Oh, fucking don't waste it."
To waste a good
To waste a
good
good
whiskey.
scotch or bourbon.
50
Blackjack.
years it's been like sitting in that barrel. That's crazy.
Wait, but why is it so? I feel like I've seen
No, you've seen 15,
Macallan
20,
at like
You've had 12 probably.
12, yeah.
Wait, why was it so expensive?
50 years.
It's 50 years old.
Oh, okay, got it.
Blackjack says, cyanide, no fun. Bond and M go on the run. Now, Skyfall is done. Appreciate the rhymes there.
I love the rhyme there, Blackjack Razak.
Mason Hall says the best Bond villain. 3 Bond girls dead in 3 films. Adele still kills it.
Fuck, she does.
And then the final one, Monty
Just stating
Joe.
facts.
Monty Joe says, escalator slide straight into a full-blown sprint. Bring it, Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Like
Ethan Hunt's
Ethan
a
Hunt,
machine,
man.
guys. He would outrun him, no problem. Would he
All right,
outfight
so-
him?
I was so scared the way when he got off of that escalator, he was like so fast.
Yeah.
Well, Javier Bardem's character ate shit. Whoever the
Yeah.
stuntman was, like, had to take a dive on that one, but then Bond just kept running. I was like, that's pretty good. Ragu. Bagu. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Ragu Bagu, where rad guys rank bad guys. I'll be your host today, Nick Scarpino, followed by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Andy Cortez.
What's up, guys? Cheers, Mazel Tov.
We're going to also throw the master of disaster, the second best baby blue eyes in San Francisco, Tim Gettys, into it. And joining us for the first time, I believe, in this whole series is Kevin Coelho.
It's true.
And we're going to call him, what nickname should we call you, Kevin? The
Keiko.
Komodo Dragon of Kind of Fun.
All right, good
We're going
enough.
to call you the Kevin,
The
the
Coelho
Komodo
Dragon.
The Coelho
I
Dragon.
love it.
Okay, so the list as it stands right now is Le Chiffre was at number 1, and then Dominic Green from Quantum of Solace is number 2. Where do we want to put Thiago Silva?
Dude,
I
this
feel
is
Number
like it's
one,
number
baby.
one.
Number 1, yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Number
know if
one,
it was
not
anybody.
only the acting, the backstory, the sort of tragedy of it,
Also
like
the transformation.
So great.
But he also is basically he's like the prototypical, or I guess the archetypical. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but he's basically the Bond villain that you know and love. He is the one that's like world ending, has all these power, is behind the scenes, and
Damaged.
You feel like he's a very formidable foe. Whereas the other ones we talked about are a little bit more subtle, right? Le Chiffre doesn't feel like he's ever going to, like, you know, control the entire world, but that's what this plot is about. We're going back to sort of the doom and gloom, like someone's got a weapon of mass destruction and we have to stop him from destroying everything. And that's what this character is. And I think that it would have been, I don't think it would have played as well if you hadn't cast Javier Bardem in it. And I think he sold every fucking line of this.
I'm always very bummed out, even when we go back to Marvel movies and other movies and other franchises where I know there are going to be multiple movies, but a villain I love dies. And I was
It's like, come on, guys.
I was very sad that Bardem died because he's just so goddamn good and captivating on screen. He's insane.
So there you go. New rankings. He's number 1.
No, he's
Now
number 1.
it's time
Sorry. So the new rankings: Ragabago, Thiago Silva number 1, let's shift number 2, and number 3, Dominic Green. There you
we
go.
go. Now it's time to rank the James Bond, Daniel Craig cinematic universe. Currently, number 1, we have Casino Royale. Number 2, we have Quantum of Solace.
Sorry, did we ever figure out where the intro ranked?
Yeah,
Oh, we didn't.
We
Did
didn't.
we not put
We
it
didn't
number
rank.
1?
Let's go
We
back
talked
up to
about it,
that.
and then I started
Yeah.
trying to argue that Quantum of Solace is better, and then we just moved on.
Yeah,
It's
I think Skyfall.
Yeah,
is number
Skyfall.
1.
not only because of
There
the
you go.
song, but I enjoy the visuals more. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I would still go for Quantum just a little bit, but I got outvoted, so boo-hoo.
But yeah, so now it's time to rank it. Number 1, we have Casino Royale. Number 2, we have Quantum of Solace. I think this is easily number 1 for me.
Yeah,
Same
for
here.
Sure. Yeah.
It kind of irks me to agree because there's so much of this movie that I don't like, but overall it's just a fun fucking movie to watch. And again, like a lot of the issues I have are stuff that you know you can take or leave. It's mostly just the nods to the older franchise and that the fact that it is kind of taking a step back. But I cannot deny that watching this again, I'm like, this is so fucking fun. And
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's
And Javier Bardem versus Daniel Craig is so fun to watch. It's number 1.
I think a lot of it, you know, we didn't see enough Bardem as we could have, and that's kind of like my one little problem with it. But compared to Le Chiffre, with Mads Mikkelsen in Casino Royale, we didn't really see menacing from him until I'm gonna hit your balls with this thing. Because for the most part, it's him sitting aside they're playing blackjack or no, what Texas Hold'em, and you don't really see a whole lot of that performance there because a lot of it is just like Bond goes off because he gets poisoned. Bond goes off because there's an intermission for whatever reason. But this one had so much of Bardem being villainous, being the mastermind, always being one step ahead of them, like wanting to get captured. All of that shit is just so. That's what I love in action movies, and I would put this number one.
I feel like there's moments too where we see his plan get thwarted by James Bond, and it's one of those things where, like, man, you can tell that he's pissed and trying to make a new plan. It's good. I feel like the action in this movie was like, and I enjoyed the action in the last two movies, or like what the action scenes that we got. But there's something about like the initial in the when he's chasing the dude in the start of this movie, where it's just like that was so entertaining to watch, and the storyline I thought was really good. It's funny because I just remember not liking this movie anywhere near as much as I do. But I like it a lot, I guess.
Yeah. Barrett sent in his thoughts on Skyfall. This was the first Bond movie I'd ever seen all the way through, and with little to no context, I did not like it at all when I saw it in theaters. Now, with my appreciation for action and spy movies having grown since then, and with watching the other Craig movies, I really liked it this time around. I think it has a good balance between what Casino Royale and Quantum tried to do, plenty of quiet and small moments, and a lot of action that's super fun when you're just in the moment. Javier Bardem completely owns the movie, especially with his entrance, and it's finally an interesting enough villain for a Bond movie. My only complaint is that when we get to Skyfall, it feels like the movie's trying to wrap up a story arc with Bond that was never previously set up. Therefore, it feels out of place with the rest of the movie, and the team being set up at the end of the movie with the reveal of Moneypenny and so on felt like a cheap ending for Bond heads, but didn't really fit with what Craig Bond is. Despite that, though, it's the best one we've watched so far. Also, for my 2 cents, I do appreciate the Skyfall intro more this time around, especially with way better CG, but I don't think anything can top Jack White and Alicia Keys for me when it comes to the song.
Yo.
There we go. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, Spectre to close out the current Craig movies because No Time to Die got delayed. What franchise will we do after that? I don't know yet, but I need to talk to the guys because I got some fun ideas. So you guys should stay tuned.
I'm excited.
Until next week.
Bon Voyage.
Yes, that's it.
Good job. Good job, man.